Hi guys! Welcome to part 2 of our Halloween special. This is Doritos Connections and Mountain Dew, your favorite local video game talk show. I'm David.
I'm Howard.
And we got a doozy of an episode for you.
I'm in pain.
So when Howard and I were talking about what we should do for our Halloween special, because we didn't really do a Halloween special last year.
Yeah, we just did an episode.
We were like, oh, we got to do something spooky. We love Halloween. We love horror. So we decided, we could play a horror game. We could play any horror game, and we did. On part 1, I reviewed Faith, and we talked about a couple different things going on in the world of horror video games. But there's a thing. There's a big thing in the world of video games where big film studios like to take games and make big budget Hollywood adaptations of those games. And there's a small handful, right? There's a couple here and there that you could go for. Alone in the Dark, Silent Hill, as we mentioned in the last episode. But there's one big one. There's one big one that has the most adaptations. And if you're looking at the set here, you might know what we're talking about.
Legend of Zelda.
So for some ungodly reason, I don't know what we were smoking that day.
Depression.
We decided to watch and review every single Resident Evil adaptation. Not every adaptation, the live-action adaptations. So if you're looking for Resident Evil Degeneration or Infinite Darkness, you ain't gonna find it here. We are covering the six Alice films.
Paul W.S.
Most of them by Paul W.S. Anderson.
Yeah, and then the Welcome to Raccoon City, and then the Netflix Resident Evil TV show.
Yeah.
I didn't have fun.
Neither did I.
We're sad now. This was a mistake. We shouldn't have done this.
So I don't know how you kind of went about watching them. I kind of had, well, actually, we probably did the same thing, because we kind of committed to this kind of late. We committed to this bit late. So it probably would have been okay had we committed this like months ago and had time.
But we didn't. So we suffered.
We kind of had to shotgun them all in like a very short amount of time. And that didn't really go too well. That was kind of a miserable experience.
I have notes, and if I didn't explain the context of these notes, you would think that I am a psychopath. Which, that's up for you to decide, but I swear to God, these movies are insane.
Yes.
So, do you just want to start?
So how do we want to just do it release order?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. All right, you see,
so
Resident Evil 1.
We'll just start with Resident Evil, released in 2002.
Sure, you know what?
2002, I think?
Yeah, hold on.
Bring up the IMDb.
Resident Evil movie. I'm gonna bring up the Wikipedia, because there's like the Wikipedia page that has all the films.
Yeah, true.
Okay, film series. Okay,
Yeah,
boom.
let's go.
All right, Resident Evil 2002.
2002. Directed, as we mentioned, by Paul W.S. Anderson.
Yep.
At this point in his career, he's probably most well known for Event Horizon, which is a film I actually quite like. It's a little divisive, but it's definitely a cult classic. It's I don't know if you've seen it, but I'm pretty sure Doom 3 pretty much rips off the whole plot of that film.
I think I did, but that was a long time ago.
But it's a very good film. Highly recommend that movie.
And and it stars Mila Jovovich, who is in The Fifth Element, which everyone likes The Fifth Element.
I've never seen it.
It's a good movie, trust
what I've
me. It's a good movie. She plays a really good character on there. So technically speaking, this should be a match made in heaven.
Should. Being the operative word here.
Now, to be totally honest, from what so a lot of people, when I was in high school, I watched the first one in high school, and I didn't remember why until I rewatched it why I was so adamant on disliking that movie. But I had trouble remembering why. The reason, fellas, it was really boring.
Yeah. So, you had seen that. These were all new to me. I had never seen any of these before. The only one I had seen before is Welcome to Raccoon City, which isn't even part of this particular series.
You skipped too far ahead, right?
I
We
know.
got to stay on track, man.
So, and I mean, I knew they were bad, but Brian, my co-host on Talking Toku, he is... Free plug. Go listen, link in the description.
Pluggers.
He has said multiple times that they're kind of a guilty pleasure for him. I love a good guilty pleasure, you know? I mean, for God's sake, I wrote a podcast about Japanese giant monsters.
I don't know what you're talking about. That sounds like cinematic masterpieces.
But anyways,
You know?
So I kind of knew what I was getting into. I wasn't really prepared for Resident Evil because I don't think I have felt nothing, like legitimately nothing towards a film before.
All right. So let's just talk about the plot real quick.
Okay.
So they chose to do the smartest thing in the world, apparently, which is what every single video game movie does, is they looked at the source material and they looked at the plot within it and just went, no, I'm not following that. So the plot of the Resident Evil 1 movie is that there is so Umbrella owns basically everything, and right now, and they had a military complex. It's called like the
Hive.
The Hive, and it's run by an AI called the Red Queen. Now, what's at the bottom of this hive is essentially the T virus that was going to make everyone into super soldiers, but someone broke it open, and that's the plot gist. So we follow Alice, a character who was literally created for this movie alone. So an OC, if you will, an original character. Paul W.S.
For his
Anderson's
wife.
OC, that is his wife, is playing the main character. And she goes with a bunch of military people because the hive is shut down because the T virus is loose. That is the whole movie. They just go into the hive to figure out who stole it, why did it break, and try to contain it. That's it. Pretty simple plot.
Very
and you know
simple,
it's pretty simple because the movie is the slowest hour and a half that you could have watched.
It's not a long movie, but it feels like it.
And Dave doesn't remember, but I can explain why. First of all, every shot is established like this. So movies, I don't know if you know this. This is a little bit of film talk here.
We're film majors.
Yeah, we're
we
film
know
majors.
how this works.
We know how this works. They have an establishing shot, so you know the setting. Nothing happens in the establishing shot. No. It's literally what it is. It's a shot to establish where you are. There are scenes, whenever they're in a new place, they show like 3 to 5 of them before the scene starts. Mm-hmm. And it's not like, oh, like a 3-second shot. Like the one I can remember off the top of my head, because I literally got sick and tired of it, and I even wrote it down, is there's a certain part where Alice walks into a hallway, and they have, of course, the zombie dogs from Resident Evil, because everyone loves the zombie dogs.
I think that's like the constant throughout these movies. That's like the one thing they get right in all these.
Yeah, and in order to show the scene, this is a almost 5 to 10 minute scene. We have multiple establishing shots. First we get one of the hallway, then we get the cages, then we get another of the hallway, but now there's blood on it. And then it hard cuts to another shot of the hallway, but this time now Alice is walking in it. And I'm like, oh my God, they just wasted like 30 seconds to a minute. And like that's why we felt nothing. And what's even worse is, because I literally just remember this now, the zombies weren't the bad guys for the first half of the movie.
No, they don't. They're not even in it.
Okay. So they go into the hive, and they find the core. This takes an hour and a half. The bad guy is the AI of the hive called the Red Queen. The Red Queen now controls this hive. There's like saw death traps everywhere. So for a Resident Evil movie, we now have 2 OCs fighting it out because the Red Queen was never in a Resident Evil game.
And they do bring in characters from the games in later films, but this first one has no one.
None.
No one.
0. Zip. Nada. So So it takes like half the movie for them to get to the core, and then they shut off the Red Queen. But when they shut off the Red Queen, all the zombies come out now.
How does that work? I couldn't tell you.
Considering it was pretty much implied that everyone in the building was infected with the T virus, I don't know why they all decided to wake up when the AI shut down.
Because the script asks for it.
The only one they made logical sense of why it would wake up would be the other video game character they brought in, the liquor enemy from Resident Evil.
Which, credit where credit is due, the liquor practical, like, I don't know if it's an animatronic or a puppet, looked pretty damn good.
Yes.
I'll give him that. That's like the one good thing about this movie.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah, that's like, I agree. The liquor was the best part. And the movie keeps going. There's also like Alice has amnesia, and like half the cast have amnesia, and they're all like double agents on exposing Umbrella for making a bioweapon, and like it's more and more like double cross, double cross, double cross, and I'm like,
it really feels more like an espionage film than like a horror film.
yeah, and like they tried to make it be like. It's that generic trope of like the military team goes into a place that has a monster, and the monster picks him off, and the military team's like, I only had 3 weeks until I was off duty, sir, but I'm going out with a bang, and then they like sacrifice themselves.
Yeah.
It's all those creative tropes, and maybe it would work, but like everyone on that military team was completely unlikable in every single way. So I was kind of like, when everyone died, I'd be like,
They were all such nothing characters.
except being mean was like half their personalities, for like half of them.
So it's, you know, there was no loss when they all died.
And there's so many
Spoilers.
scenes where they're trying to be like, I'll hold them off for you. I'm like, okay, bye. And then everyone's like crying, and I'm like, didn't they just like pistol whip the main character
You know,
like 30 minutes ago in
The
war?
wild thing is, because this was 2002, it's like, there was no, there's no precedent for it. Like this kind of like almost maybe started some of these tropes, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, I mean, we could be forgetting stuff, but yeah, the movie was kind of boring. Poorly shot, and the movie ends with, after all the double crossing, there's like Alice and some random environmentalist guy who just wanted to expose Umbrella because they were hurting the environment, because corporations hurt the environment. It's just a thing. And they go on a train and they fight the liquor in a moving train, which was fun.
Yeah, it's, you know, kind of based on the ending of Resident Evil 2.
Yep. And the liquor scratches the environmentalist guy, but Jill has the antidote, so Jill does the antidotes. I'm sorry, not Jill, Alice. Alice has the antidote. I thought of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis for some reason. My apologies. I'm skipping ahead. They inject themselves herself with the antivirus, but does it with the environmentalist guy, and they leave the hive. And then once out of the hive, they immediately get kidnapped by Umbrella. And the cliffhanger ending is Alice waking up in a... What?
You're forgetting a very important thing.
Oh, what?
The most sequel-baity thing in any movie I've heard. As they're taking the environmentalist guy away, they're like, I want him for the Nemesis program.
Yeah, that's
And then
right.
he's not seen for the rest of the movie. And you're like, gee, wonder what's going to happen in the next movie.
And then Alice wakes up and finds herself in Raccoon City, and it is basically looking like Resident Evil 2.
This was something really funny I noticed when I was watching that. She takes the shotgun and she cocks it. And then when it pans out to the wide shot, there's no one around her. No humans, no zombies, no other Umbrella BOWs. Why did she cock this gun?
Listen, this is
It was just really funny to me.
Listen, okay? Speaking as someone who is based, I'm just going to say, 2000s movies, they just didn't teach you proper gun safety. That's all I'm saying.
This is true.
Alice is not doing proper gun safety there in that one scene. If there's no one there, why'd you do it?
This is true. Do we want to say anything more about Resident Evil? Anything you have?
Yeah. Where are we going to put it? Because we're going to do this tier list.
Yeah, we're
style.
gonna. So when I say I felt nothing for this, I mean, I don't mean that like maliciously. I mean that I don't think it was good. I don't think it was bad. I just think it exists. Like how most people kind of talk about Morbius. So I'm willing to be nice and just give this a C.
Okay. I was thinking like a high D.
A high D?
Yeah, like borderline C and D.
Okay.
We can put it on C for now. We'll be nice. We can
because I think objectively, this is probably the most well-made.
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue for one of the later ones. We'll get to that, but I think this is the one that like works the most as a movie.
It functions as a movie.
It's functional. It's the highest praise we can give this
It's
film.
the bare minimum required.
It reaches that bar.
Not a Resident Evil movie, but
a movie.
So yeah, that gets the C tier.
Okay.
While we're here, we're throwing all the other video game movies we did. Mortal Kombat, D or C?
It's D.
Mortal Kombat's in D. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is in A or B?
I'd say high B.
High B. Okay. All
High
right.
B.
All right. So we're gonna make a ginormous list of every video game movie we do. All right.
Yeah.
This is a work.
Not that
in
we
progress
do them
for you.
often, but you know.
We're just gonna do it. We're just gonna keep
Yeah.
adding to it. It's gonna look so ugly and so
It
full at
is.
the end of this. Okay. Now we have 2004 Resident Evil Apocalypse.
Oh boy. And bring up the director because
Alexander Witt.
so Alexander Witt, this is the only film he's ever done, either before or after. So you can see, you can kind of guess how Resident Evil Apocalypse went.
Yeah. So first of all, because I kind of did a little tiny bit of research, he was like a camera operator for James Cameron.
Yeah, so he's done a lot of like second unit directing work on a number of like big films. I can't remember any off the top of my head. So if you scroll down, let me see.
There's Gladiator, Remember the Titan, Cannibal, Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, Speed. Speed's great. I love Speed.
Speed, Daredevil, Prince of Persia, Sands of Time.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that's another thing we have to add to the list.
But he's done, so he's done a lot of second unit directing. But this is his directorial debut, and it's the only film he ever directed by himself.
Which, you know what? I'm gonna take the hottest take.
Okay.
This is the one I like the most.
I agree.
Yep.
So, I do think it is like objectively worse than the first film.
Oh yeah, it's way worse.
It is
Fun.
way more enjoyable. It's way. I mean, yeah, we're laughing at the movie, not with it.
Okay.
But that does make for more overall enjoyment of the film as a whole.
So the plot synopsis of this movie is, remember the obvious sequel bait about how that guy was being taken to the Nemesis Project? Guess what this movie's about? It's an adaptation of Resident Evil 3, Nemesis.
But once again, just like the zombies in the last movie, Nemesis doesn't come in until like halfway through.
Yeah, instead it's just people freaking out because, like the plot of Resident Evil 2 and 3, they've shut down Raccoon City, so everyone's trapped inside of it. Now we actually get a few characters we recognize, such as Jill and
Carlos.
And Carlos. Jill looks on point. Carlos, they got a Swedish guy to play a Hispanic man.
Yeah, Oded Fair.
Yep, a very.
We should bring up the thing that I texted you about that movie.
Was it the Jill is?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I was watching this movie, I was sitting up in our movie room in my house. And I'm just texting Howard. I go, not gonna lie, movie Jill's kind of hot. And you text me back immediately. You were like, shut up! I was just thinking that because I guess you were looking at the Netflix.
No, I just finished Resident Evil 1, and then I looked at the screen. I'm like, I don't remember. I never watched the sequels, so I looked at the trailer and I see Jill. I'm like, oh, Jill's kind of ding. And I looked down, and he texted me that immediately. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa.
We're so in sync.
Wait. Yeah, so Jill and Carlos are in the movie. So Resident Evil Lockdown, but guys, guess what? Alice is here to stay. The Paul W.S. Anderson OC character is here to stay. So essentially, the zombies are also happening, and just like in Resident Evil 3 Nemesis is around hunting for STARS members.
They don't ever say why.
They don't say why.
Because as far as we know, nothing in the the Spencer Mansion stuff happened.
Yeah.
That is never brought up.
Also, he kind of gives up at the halfway point to chase Alice.
Yeah.
Which, leaving Jill alive, and Jill was a STARS member, so...
It's a little unclear as to what is going on there.
Yeah, it's really corny, so essentially it's like the first chunk of the movie is like Jill and Carlos kind of just trying to survive while the apocalypse is happening in Raccoon City, and then they get trapped at a church, and then like a 7-year-old writing his OC about how he would save Naruto during the pain arc, Jill literally Kool-Aid Mans through the church window, motorcycle, 2 guns, dual-wielding akimbo, fighting off, I think it was liquors again? Yeah, a liquor super easily, because now Alice is a super soldier.
Yeah.
She has superhuman strength and reflexes and can fight everyone because of the virus that she got in the first movie. And she saves Jill, and Jill goes, "Wow, Alice, aren't you the coolest character around?" Which I laughed so hard because I cannot imagine in one of the highest grossing video game film franchises of all time, writing an OC, saving the main character of one of the video games, then having them go, "Wow, OC, aren't you the bee's knees? You're way cooler than me." And I'm like, don't.
And again, Paul W.S. Anderson didn't even direct this one.
Yeah, this is Alexander Witt.
Yeah.
So
he probably wrote. I'm sure he was an executive producer on it. I don't know if he wrote it.
Paul W.S. Anderson did write it. He wrote.
All right, he wrote it.
He wrote all of them.
Okay. Not surprising.
Okay.
But again, it's I'll give them this much. Like I feel like they do a pretty decent job adapting Resident Evil 2 and 3. Like the plot beats are pretty much the same. I mean, we don't have I'm blanking on his name.
Carlos Leon Ada.
No, the guy who mutates.
Guy who mutates.
Who made the G virus?
2?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I forgot his name, but yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Oh my God.
I literally forgot his name.
What is his name? This is bad.
Yeah, that's
this is so bad.
Okay, in our defense, the boss fights were kind of mid with him.
That's fair.
Hold on. Zombie guy from Resident
Evil. All I'm
Marvin?
thinking is G.
No,
not Marvin.
Not Marvin. Dude, Marvin's the main man.
Marvin's not the guy I'm thinking of.
Hold on.
Oh my God, what is his name?
No, that's Mr. X.
It's the guy who Neil McDonough plays in Welcome to Raccoon City.
Yeah. List of bosses. Sorry, Adam.
This is so bad.
Right now, okay, hold on. Birkin.
Oh my.
His name's Birkin.
William Birkin.
Yes.
So we have William Birkin is not in the film, but Jared Harris is playing basically Birkin. Like he's the one who made the virus. His daughter is stuck in the city. I don't know why they didn't just make him William Birkin, but
I don't know.
Yes, I mean that character archetype is still in the movie. So I think they did a pretty good job.
And of course, we got to give shout-outs. Nemesis does not look like hot garbage.
No, he looks a little small, but I think that's mostly due to the fact that it's a practical suit.
Yeah, it's a literal suit. They actually did a really good job with Nemesis.
And it's hard to make, because Nemesis is probably what 8 feet tall canonically.
He's a big guy.
It's hard to make makes like a physical human being look 8 feet tall. Unless you put him on stilts, I guess they could have done that. But
It's too much work. It looked good.
Yeah,
It looked
it
good.
looked very good. I mean, the more human-looking eye looked a little odd, but like other than that, it looked great.
But when I saw the human eye, I guessed where the plot was going in an instant.
Oh yes, 100%.
So after, I guess we can go down the plot. After Nemesis hunts down Alice after eliminating a bunch of random stars people, he captures Alice, and they basically have they try to go to the helicopter that blows that's at the end of RE3. They try to find the safe haven helicopter. But of course, Umbrella is there waiting to execute
Our main
everyone.
bad guy, who I don't know his name.
Yeah, main bad guy. I wonder if
If he's working or something.
Charles.
I don't think his name really matters. Who cares? But anyways, he's going like, hey, Alice, you're so cool. What if we make you fight Nemesis to the death?
And then he goes, and do you know why? Because you are Nemesis, like he is Nemesis. You're both from the Nemesis program. So, and that's when you get the plot twist of the environmentalist guy that they took for the Nemesis project is Nemesis.
Whoa, who could have seen that coming?
Bazinga, can you believe it? And so then they have a fight to the death, but Nemesis remembers he was the environmental guy who wanted to go out on a date with Alice or something. So he feigns the fight and fights Umbrella so that everyone can escape.
Yay.
And then...
Raccoon City blows up.
Wait, no. Yeah, Raccoon City blows up. And then...
Everyone escapes. Jill, Carlos, that other guy.
The
LJ, I think is his name?
Something like that, that character.
Yeah.
And then Alice got captured.
She gets kidnapped by Umbrella again. She breaks out. Now she has actual superpowers. She has telekinesis now.
Yeah, also her eyelids literally turn into the Umbrella logo, and that's the obvious sequel bait.
Yeah, they have more sequel bait because they have I can remember this guy's name. The villain for the next movie, he's like, oh, hello, Alice, you're awake. You're back. And then she's like, hey, you. And she escapes. And then Carlos, LJ, and Jill are there. And they're like, hey, Alice, come with us. And it's not clear what they do with that, which is an issue we are going to get into. But it's... I mean, I took it to think, oh, they're doing the BSAA. But they don't. They don't. They don't. Again, we'll talk about it when we cover the next film.
So what do you feel? I'm comfortable with, again, this one's a C. I'm comfortable with that.
I want to give it a B just because I enjoyed it more.
Okay.
Like a low B.
You know what? I'm okay with Resident Evil Apocalypse getting a B. I'm okay with that.
Spoiler alert.
That is the best.
That is the highest any of these is going to get, is a B. There are no A's, there are no S's.
Resident Evil Extinction, made in 2007, directed by Russell McCauley. You know, I don't know if you know, but he made the obscure movie, I don't know if you knew it, Highlander. He directed that.
Highlander, Razorback, Highlander 2.
So, yeah.
So a surprisingly good resume, actually. I mean, aside from Highlander 2, obviously, but he's got a pretty decent resume.
Okay.
This movie's boring, guys.
Guys, I don't know how to tell you this, but remember how in the last review we said nothing makes sense? Okay. The Earth has now turned into Mad Max.
Okay, hold on. We're getting a little ahead of ourselves.
Okay,
here.
fine.
Because this movie begins a trend that lasts until the final chapter. Where the cliffhanger, like the sequel bait from the previous film, has absolutely no impact on the second film.
On
the following film, rather.
So much so that now Alice recaps every single movie that happens up to the point of the movie you're watching, and never at any point addresses any sequel bait that happened from the previous movie. So as far as we're concerned, the last scene where Jill and Carlos saved Alice,
didn't happen.
Means nothing.
Like Alice woke up. Yes, that happened. But She doesn't mention Jill, LJ, or Carlos whatsoever. Can we make sure LJ is the right name? I feel okay. It is LJ. I'm seeing it there.
Okay, it is LJ.
LJ
LJ Wayne.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I'm getting the character's name right. So, as Howard said, we are now in Mad Max-iverse.
Yeah, she explains in the opening, oh, by the way, nuking Raccoon City didn't do anything because it's airborne, so the bomb spread it. And then within a couple months, the world became, everyone became infected with the zombies, and then they died. So Mother Nature took over Earth, and for some reason that meant everything's covered in sand.
Yes.
Like Mad Max.
Like we're in, I think, L.A.?
Somewhere around
Or Vegas.
That's the end goal. That's the end goal. They're like somewhere in the
Okay.
Californian area.
All right, gotcha.
But yeah, and it's really weird because, and you know, just to spoil it, none of the movies ever address this point ever again. It's just this movie that's Mad Max for some reason. And also, the movie starts off with Alice, who we know is a superhuman, getting jumped by a couple of weirdos in an abandoned gas station.
Yep.
And then after she breaks out of it, we hard cut to the main plot, which is that there is now a always moving caravan.
Main plot.
Here's
my biggest problem with this film. There isn't a plot until like literally halfway through.
Okay, that's also true. Things just do kind of happen.
Yeah.
So there's a convoy of people led by some dude in Claire Redfield. They never actually introduce Claire Redfield.
No.
They just go, "How's it looking back there, Claire?" And then Claire goes, "Looking good. I need some cigarettes or something."
Okay, they're always talking about cigarettes. They're all nicotine addicts in this movie.
They all want cigarettes.
Yes.
So they're all super upset, and they're just kind of roaming around, picking up people in like a caravan.
It's the generic like zombie apocalypse thing where they just gotta keep moving and looking for supplies and safe havens. That's literally all it is. Nothing new or interesting there.
Yeah, and
but they finally find a safe place. They stop for the night. LJ gets bitten by a zombie, but he's kind of an asshole and doesn't tell anyone.
Yeah, because he just wanted some girl.
Yeah, he wanted to get laid. Like literally, he just wanted to get laid.
So he didn't tell anyone he got bitten, like at all.
Yeah.
Which
I'll admit that's kind of funny. That's kind of funny. Like I know the trope of like people not talking about getting bit during a zombie apocalypse is like a played out thing. But the fact that he didn't tell anyone just because he wanted to get laid, like that's funny.
Yeah, that's like real goat behavior right there.
Honestly.
Like let's be real. Wouldn't you all do that, you know?
I mean, come on.
That's why he's the most relatable character.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then and it doesn't matter anyway. Now I know we're just skipping through the plot because nothing really matters.
Nothing happens until half an hour into the movie.
So then when they find another area, LJ's still not telling anyone, but zombie crows that ate the dead bodies of zombies that are in the desert, congregate around the caravan.
Which, hey, that's from the game.
Yeah, and now there's a horde of demonic crows, of zombie crows, attacking the caravan, and the girl that LJ was trying to get with dies.
Yeah, she sacrifices herself to like get the kids out.
Yeah, to get kids out of a bus in which crows do it, which is really funny because literally 1 minute later in the movie, like in real time, Alice shows up and has psychic powers and blows up all the crows with her mind.
Yeah.
She never does this again.
Yeah.
She just kind of gets sleepy and goes, I'm weak now. I don't know what I am.
And then she wakes up and Claire's like, "Hi, I'm Claire." And Carlos is like, "Hey, it's me, Carlos. Remember me from the last movie? Remember how we didn't mention that scene before the credits?" And Alice goes, "No, I don't remember that. I don't remember that happening."
And then there's a character called, "Hi, they saved me. They found me in a Kmart. My name is Kmart."
My name's Kmart.
And then stuff happens.
Yeah.
You know what?
Umbrella takes over Alice's mind.
Yeah.
And then immediately she's like, "Nah." and just breaks the control, and that never happens again.
They go to Vegas. They're looking for supplies. replies and like, Alice is away from a group. Quick, get into her mind. I'm in. Alice goes, no, you ain't.
Yeah, she literally just kind of standing there for like at max 2 minutes, and then she's just like, "Nah, I'm okay. I'm good.
We're good.
I'm all right. Thanks for the offer, but no thanks."
In fact, I've deduced where their base is now too.
Somehow.
This is when the plot of the movie happened. I guess Umbrella's plan was to use Alice as like a remote control assassin, because they're trying to find ways of how to turn zombies into like controllable weapons, but it doesn't work.
They're doing this whole thing where they keep trying to make a new Alice. Like we keep seeing them shoveling corpses of Alices that like failed their test or whatever.
So then they go to the base, and the bad guy just becomes the tyrant from RE1.
Which, that's a pretty good effect, too.
It was
just
a good
like
effect.
Nemesis, that actually looked very good.
Now, if I remember correctly, didn't he die from the laser hallway in 1?
No, he wasn't in 1.
No.
Oh!
3.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. So I guess for some reason every single military base is just like the Hive, and in the first movie, a bunch of people died.
I
from the
think
laser
what it
thing.
was because that was part of the test for Alice, for the Alice clones.
Yeah, okay, the Alice clone. So it was the laser test that was in the Hive, the laser scene, and Alice just activates it and kills him.
Yeah.
And then that's the end of the movie. She kind of just walks away. What was the sequel bait for that movie? Did I write it down?
I don't know, actually. I don't remember.
Let's see. What do I have for Extinction? Now, I had notes just in case I forgot.
Okay.
Nope, that's Afterlife. This is
I'm trying to think
Extinction.
of what the sequel bait for that was.
I don't remember much besides the color beige. Thanks, past Josh.
I mean, no, it's again because we're in Mad Maxiverse, and it's not George Miller directing this.
Yeah.
Everything is just beige.
Okay.
Oh, I remember what it is.
What?
Because Mr. Bad Guy Man, he keeps reporting into the Umbrella higher-ups, which includes Albert Wesker himself, played by Jason O'Mara, which I actually think is a really good casting. And then Alice finally goes, once she's beaten the big bad guy man, she goes into their Zoom meeting and says, "Hey, I'm coming for you guys." And then
that's the end of the movie.
That's the end of the movie.
We actually get like some people, of course, died. Like LJ's gone, and I'm pretty sure did Carlos die.
Carlos died because there was the scene where like he's in the truck and it's about to explode, and he finds the last cigarette, and he's like,
"It wasn't a cigarette. It was a blunt."
It was a blunt. It
was a blunt.
It was a blunt.
He thought it was a cigarette, but he found out it was a blunt.
Yes, that's right.
So he blew up the car to get into the enemy base.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What a Chad.
But max Chad energy. I'm okay with putting this in F. I'm really okay with putting this one in F.
I want to say D.
No,
because there are worse things than this.
No,
there are worse things.
I'm hardlining it at E. That is as low as I'll go. E is E fine.
E's fine.
If we include an E category, it's fine.
Yeah, E's fine because I am of the opinion that like there are significantly worse things in the Resident Evil franchise than Extinction.
Okay. Resident Evil Afterlife released in 2010. Paul W.S. Anderson is back.
He's back, baby!
Yeah, because he's like, you know what? We're making sure we get everything.
The prodigal son returns.
The prodigal son returns. And let me tell you something. Before we started off,
Wait.
What?
We forgot one of the other sequel bait things.
What was the other sequel bait thing?
She wakes up all the clones.
Oh.
She wakes up all the clones.
Oh, that's right, because that's what this movie starts off with.
Yes.
Okay. The sequel bait from the last movie is answered, is that she found the clones from Extinction, and she attacks Umbrella. That's the start of the movie.
That's the start of the movie.
She has Alice clones that are attacking Umbrella HQ. Now, I would like to remind you all isn't it a little suspicious how they haven't taken anything from Resident Evil 4? That's because your wishes are solved. They took everything from Resident Evil 5. They're adapting Resident Evil 5 for this one. So I looked it up. All the zombies are the Magini, the zombies from 5 for some reason.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
all the zombies have like the tentacle things, and they don't explain that at all.
Wesker has his superpowers now.
Yeah. But we don't find that out until the very end of the film.
Yeah. So the movie starts with
Alice's big assault on Umbrella.
yeah, with all the slow-mo Matrix stuff, because this movie was, I'm pretty sure, in 3D.
It was in 3D, yes.
So there's all slow-mo action scenes with an army of Alices doing stunt works in front of obvious, disgusting blue screens that you can tell are obviously just, they have Alice in wires with a fan underneath her. Like, we couldn't make this in this studio here. Like, it's not that hard, okay?
Yeah.
And then
she blows up the base.
she blows up the base.
But Wesker got away. He got away on a plane.
And she gets on the plane because she was hiding. The real Alice was hiding on the plane the whole time. And then Wesker goes, I knew you were hiding on the plane the whole time. Here's the antidote. You're not a superhuman anymore, Alice. I'm the superhuman. And then, I don't know, tosses her off a cliff or something.
No, the plane crashes.
Oh, that's right.
And she's like, well, at least Wesker's dead. And she walks off, and that's... So it was, when I said that they don't mention the sequel, they either don't mention it whatsoever, or they deal with it in the quickest way.
So to
It's
know,
either not mentioned at all or solved within the first like 5 minutes of the movie.
this movie also again has a 5-minute here last time on Resident Evil Z.
Yeah.
They don't mention how the world is suddenly not Mad Max anymore.
Yeah, it's not Mad Max anymore.
It's regular. It's a regular world again.
Yes.
It's just the post-apocalypse. Like the only thing that's there is the zombie apocalypse. The desert's now gone.
Yeah.
They never explain why the desert went away. And I think in between this movie and the last movie, it's only been like a month or two.
Yeah, pretty much. So we find Alice. She's trying to find this safe haven in Alaska.
Yeah.
And she has a plane. I don't know where the hell she got a plane from.
Yeah, she just got a plane.
And she goes to the place where they said they'd be, and she's like, oh no, there's no one here. But then she finds Claire with the big robo bug attached to her chest from Resident Evil 5.
Which in Resident Evil 5, it was an actual bug and not a robot. Just wanted to point that out, which means it looks even stupider now as a robot.
So she saves Claire, and Claire's like, who the hell are you?
Who
the hell am I?
After being brainwashed, I magically get the plot armor of amnesia.
Oh no! And Alice is like, it's okay. You're my friend. We're friends here.
Let's go on a plane ride.
Let's go on a plane ride.
And then they crash.
They go to the city, and they find people who need help in the city, and they land on a building.
That is a jail.
It's a jail.
It's a ginormous prison with a local football star, and in their basement is locked up in jail is Chris Redfield.
Chris Redfield, played by Wentworth Miller, who I like Wentworth Miller, but he's woefully miscast as Chris.
Yeah, so again, you can't have Resident Evil 5 without Chris, but we have one fatal issue in the Chris design. I'm going to show a picture of Resident Evil 5 Chris. His arms are the size of like melons. I don't think he can actually like bend his arm like this normally, okay? As you can tell, if I put a picture of the movie version, he is not that jacked.
Wentworth Miller is a lanky man.
He is a very lanky man. So I just got to say, this other than Carlos being a Swedish man, got to say this is the fattest L when it comes to casting. Sorry. Where's my bouldering puncher, Chris? All right? No boulder puncher, Chris. 0 out of 10. Sorry, can't do it. Video's over.
All right, what else happens in this movie?
All right, so then we get a cast. We get introduced to our cast of prison characters.
They want to get out.
They want to get out.
They find the boat. Because the place she was looking for, it wasn't a place, it was a boat.
Yeah. The name of the safe haven was a boat. And it turns out they're all stuck in the prison, and literally, if you just go on the roof of the prison, you see the boat. That's the actual safe haven.
The boat's like within spitting distance from the prison.
They can't go because there's a zombie horde around the prison. So they have to like figure out a plan, And as Jill just basically tries to like mellow out and tries to get used to the prison to make a plan, the plot instantly starts about a half hour in, just like the last bunch of movies, because the zombies are now dig dug, which means they pop out of the ground and can grab you and pull you down. I don't know why. It's just a thing that happens.
I don't know.
I
We have the big dudes from, I think,
5. I think they're called the Executioners.
Yeah, they don't really explain where they came from.
Yeah, they're just
there.
up.
They're just there.
And they kind of paint it for the whole movie like that's the big baddie to escape the jail. So as they release Chris, and Chris is like, Claire, you're my sister, and Claire's like, I have plot armor amnesia, dude. I'm not doing much.
Does she ever regain her memory in this movie? I don't remember.
I don't know.
Okay.
I really couldn't tell you. And like they have like this really epic fight scene with the Executioner in like the shower room, and with all the 3D action, because they can still do super soldier stuff without doing super soldier stuff. I don't know. Things just happen. I couldn't tell you.
Oh, also we should mention Alice's cool guns, her cool shotguns that she uses quarters as ammo.
Yeah, she now just decided to use quarters in the shotgun shell.
I mean, that doesn't work. You need the gunpowder.
Yeah, like
That's not how that works.
Also, I've seen like tests to do theoretically what she does, and using a real shotgun like ammo is way more effective.
Right.
Like, cause the nerd time. If you put literal, I don't think quarters can fit, but I think dimes can. If you use literal dimes, because of how weighted they are, they just go in random directions as compared to a shotgun, which is like a spread. Like, it is way not as effective to do that. But she just uses quarters in her shotgun shell. Like, I don't know when she does this.
Yeah.
I don't know how she does. I guess it's to say, like, since bullets are scarce and gunpowder isn't the actual steel pellets, it's way easier to use money since there's no reason for it anymore, but they don't explain it, I guess, at all.
I don't know.
So she just has a quarter-filled slugs in her shotgun to fight a 8-foot-tall spiked dude with an axe in a shower room.
But anyways, it doesn't matter because like everyone dies.
Yep, everyone dies
except for her, Chris, and Claire. So they get to the boat and they're like, "Oh, no one's around. Let's go into the boat and see what's happening." But oh no! Wesker's alive and he's the villain of the movie.
And he's been waiting at the boat the whole time.
He's like, "Hi, Alice. I knew you'd be here. I knew you'd come to this place. I'm the villain. Let's fight to the death
can we
because
just,
you're
like,
not super powered anymore."
Talk for 5 seconds, like, right? He died in a plane crash with Alice. Alice goes to Alaska. She goes to a random city, and she just so happens to find people in distress. This is Wesker's big plan, okay? She just so happens to find people who are in distress, and maybe they know where the secret haven in Alaska really is, okay? Maybe they know. There's a lot of thinking on Wesker. It's like, okay, so what she's going to do after she goes to Alaska, if she survives from the attack that I sent with her with Claire, because I sent Claire to kill her, obviously. So she's going to hopefully go on a plane and hopefully go over this one city and hopefully pays attention to this distress call, then hopefully lands, then hopefully makes it out of this building, and then hopefully makes it to the ship so I can hopefully fight her. I'm like, what? Why didn't you just, you're superpowered, get out of the boat and kill her in the prison? Like, the zombies were dig dug. You could have just had the zombies dudes just kept coming up, and then you, like, I don't know, grabbed her. There's no reason. It's not like this ship was specific for Resident Evil 5, because they fought, if I remember correctly, like first on an oil tanker and then in a volcano in Resident Evil 5. That's where they fought Wesker. The boat's not important. So I don't know where they got this idea for the boat, and like I don't know. And then a perfect circle starts playing, and I'm like, what's going on? And everyone's doing slow motion stunts to like avoid being shot as new, like, you know, a perfect circle's playing, like, you know, Discount Tool is playing, and like I'm wondering, what am I doing with my life? I don't know. Claire and Chris get put in like some weird tube for some reason during the fight. And Wesker dies because he also has a tentacle mouth, and he reveals, my cells aren't merging with the T-virus like yours did to become superhuman. So I need your DNA. So his plan was to eat Alice to become the ultimate T-cell merged
life form.
yeah, like the Cell from Dragon Ball Z. I'm gonna pop as many Dragon Ball Z references as I can.
I was going for Sonic Adventure 2.
That also works. But Super Saiyan is just a ripoff of Super Saiyan anyway. You know, whatever. Super Sonic's a ripoff. But
yeah, they beat Wesker, and they're
but
like, "Oh,
they-
we're good.
they
We're safe
beat
now."
Wesker because he opened his weird tentacle mouth that's never in any Resident Evil game.
Yeah.
And Alice just so managed at the same time, because he thought she was done for, to raise her shotgun at the newly opened monster mouth and then shot him. The case in point, in Resident Evil 5, Chris had to pin a boulder on Wesker in a volcano so that he melt and burnt to a crisp.
Yeah.
Because he was so overpowered. And this Wesker is like, oh my god, I just blew up, I died.
So they beat Wesker, and they're like, "Okay, we're all safe now. Let's go up to the ship and celebrate with all these people." And then Umbrella comes in with a literal army of helicopters, and Jill's back.
As a mind-controlled,
Jill's back.
akin to the plot in Resident Evil 5, Wesker has taken control of her, and now she's magically blonde.
Yeah.
And she's going to attack the boat, and that's where the movie ends.
That's where the movie ends.
And then the football guy somehow survives the whole movie. Are you okay with E for this one?
I'm okay with E.
All right, this one's going in E.
I'm going. Yeah.
This one's
I think it's worse than Extinction, but not so much worse that it needs to be a rank lower.
got it. Okay. All right, now we got Resident Evil Retribution in 2012, still directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. It actually, we have to congratulate them. They did immediately solve the cliffhanger.
They did.
So much that it plays twice.
Yeah.
Once in reverse,
and then once in forward motion.
No.
Back to back.
Yeah, they show it in reverse, then Alice goes, like every single beginning, my name is Alice, a total OC the director made up.
I was a security analyst for the Umbrella Corporation.
And then I sold them out, and then things happened, and zombies, and here's my story. And then it just shows the scene in reverse happen the correct way, just a little bit sped up now.
Basically, Umbrella kills everyone on board, Alice goes overboard, and she wakes up in an Umbrella place.
Yeah, in a new Umbrella facility, because we already have a bunch of those.
You know, we've gone all the way through Retribution, and we haven't mentioned one of our favorite tropes of this series.
Oh, wait, what was it again?
The big wireframe diagrams of every Umbrella building that ever existed.
Whenever they're in an Umbrella facility, there's always a transition that just shows a wireframe of the whole building and like some weird blinking dot saying, "You are here."
It's hilarious. It's in every single movie, and it makes me laugh every time.
It's like, and there's no point because sometimes they show the wireframe first. So we have no idea what it's a map of. It's just a wireframe of just something, and it just zooms into one part, and it just shows someone walking down a hallway like, "Yep,
it's like nothing
interesting
is ever happening when they do that. It's just it's a very funny like trope of these films.
And we get a new building, and then I'm trying to remember. Hold on, we got to revert back to the iconic Howard notes. What did Howard write for this back when he watched it? This is Extinction, right? No,
This
Retribution.
is Retribution, yeah.
Retribution. Okay, Retribution. The movie spoiled. Wait, the movie intro. Oh, yeah, that's right.
What?
When she wakes up in the new facility, she finds Ada Wong, classic Resident Evil character.
In here.
And then she immediately goes, "Don't shoot. I'm working with Wesker." And Alice goes, "I killed Wesker."
Don't
and Wesker appears on a TV screen.
Don't shoot, I'm from the video games.
and Wesker goes, still alive, but I need to shut down the space. I sent
Also,
Ada.
I'm good now.
I send in Ada. Can you and Ada, like, blow up the building you're now magically in for some reason.
Yes. And we learn that the building she's in, they're in like the Arctic.
Yeah, they're in the Arctic.
The Arctic Ocean. Like they're like under the ocean. And we learned as they're going through all these big rooms, they're in these like I guess biomes. They're sort of biomes. They're like
they're
simulated cities.
yes, like the holodeck from Star Trek.
Yes.
That are specifically made for people, for the Umbrella Corporation to prepare for the effects of what would happen during the apocalypse that they now have planned.
Yeah, so the whole, when Wesker's giving his exposition speech, he's like, oh, we tested it in Tokyo and sold it to China and sold the T-virus to China. Then we tested it in Russia and we sold the T-virus to the U.S. Oh, politics in my Resident Evil movie.
And also to note, it doesn't matter. The morality of what Umbrella's doing, it just changes based on every single movie. Like one movie, they just did it to make super soldiers.
Yeah.
The next is for political disruption, and so on.
It's never for good reasons.
It's never for good reasons, but it's never for one reason.
Yeah.
So now Ada and Alice are now going around the holodeck Umbrella base, which may or may not have real people in it.
It's never clear. It's like, where do all these zombies come from? Are they real? Are they fake? I don't know.
Yeah, and they find, okay. And
you would think that if they exited their little biome holodeck thing, that they would disappear if they were fake, but they don't.
But they don't.
But if they've tested it multiple times, where are they getting all these zombies?
Yeah, and along with that, my also question is, they find out that there's a cloning facility underneath of, again, all Alice's. So are the zombies clones? Clones of who? Because they don't look exactly the same. There's real people. Who are these real people clones of? I don't know. But who cares? Leon and Barry just walk up to the door of the base with the football guy from the last movie because he survived.
He's alive.
And they go, in, out, blow up base, save Alice. Let's go, gamers. And then they kind of...
And Leon's whole character is, I love Ada.
Yeah, I love Ada, and I came to shoot zombies and love Ada.
Yeah.
And I'm all out of zombies. That is... No, so listen, all right? Leon is a himbo. If you don't know what a himbo is, right? Think of when you call a woman a bimbo. There you go. It's for men. Leon has always been a himbo. He has no idea what he's doing, but God is he good at doing whatever he's doing. All right? And now he's like some grizzled detective looking for a lost love that they never talk about. And I'm like, hey, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
This is stupid. There's some cool action set pieces because, again, they're in the holodeck. They can pick whatever they want.
They bring in Las Plagas for no reason.
Hold on. First, they bring in the cast of the first Resident Evil movie. They cloned all the people from the first Resident movie who died.
Michelle Rodriguez, who we didn't even mention when we were talking about the first movie.
Yeah, because yes, we did. I said characters or their whole personality is mean. That's her character in the movie. And guess what her character is? She's an evil clone and follows Alice as Alice finds some random girl that isn't a hologram. And so Alice saves the little girl, and they also find a hippie version of her character that is also a clone.
Of who?
Michelle Rodriguez.
No, she's not a hippie. She's just like a normal person. I'm pretty sure.
Something. She said something about being vegan, so I've just assumed she's a hippie. She said she was vegan, hippie status. You got the seal of hippie, all right?
Okay.
But yeah. So they're just running around being goofy goobers.
Also, the little girl is like the Alice clone's daughter, so the girl's like, Alice, you're my mom.
You're
and Alice is like, no, I'm not, but I guess I am.
I guess I have this and I have this feeling that I just am. And I'm like, oh boy, don't you love amnesia plots? Where they just don't
And it's not even an amnesia plot. It's just they're a different person.
Oh my god. And so after they do like fun adventures in like Tokyo and all sorts of things where they fight more Resident Evil 5 executioners, run away from clones.
But they fight 2 this time, not 1.
They fight 2, Alice and Ada. They go through like a city and they fight the Resident Evil 1 cast because, you know, we all wanted nostalgia for Resident Evil 1 the movie. We all wanted the nostalgia that it's been a while.
It's been 10 years. This was the 10-year anniversary movie.
Yep. By the way, Jill has not been mentioned at this point. We're like over halfway through the movie.
She's there.
Barely mentioned.
She like is the one who imprisons Alice, and she's like, where did Alice go? I have to go find Alice.
Yeah,
because that's my whole character in this movie. I have to find Alice.
Because I'm brainwashed. Grr. So yeah. Oh my God, that's right. That's right. I forgot. Because the person who's in control of that base is the Red Queen AI from the first movie, and she hacked into the robot on Jill. Was that what it was?
It's the White Queen.
Yeah, the White Queen.
It was like the same thing.
Yeah, just CGI'd worse. She controls Alice to search for Ada and Jill. She controls Jill to find Ada and Alice because Wesker's a good guy now. So Wesker doesn't control Jill anymore for some reason. So the White Queen and Jill are trying to kill Ada and Alice. Leon, Barry, and the football guy are kind of just vibing, going around shooting things. They find a liquor, I think.
They find a liquor. They find the Las Plagas zombies.
They find the Las Plagas
this
zombies.
This is the first time they've ever been mentioned.
And no, they just function like the zombies in every other film, which if you know
But they can use cars.
Yeah, they can use cars
and guns.
now, which is something the Magini did, but they didn't do that when they were Maginis, but now they're all Las Plagas, which Las Plagas doesn't. They don't turn you into zombies. Technically, it's like a parasite in which a cult leader controls your whims. So they're not zombies, they're just mindless drones that have a parasite inside them. So how they're just regular zombies again, I don't know. They're just throwing references.
They only did it because, like, oh, Leon's in this game. We have to have the Las Plagas with Leon.
It's like, dude, we haven't referenced Resident Evil 4 yet. What if we just, like, did that?
Yeah.
You know, with our OC. Barry is also the only good
Barry's like the highlight of that movie. He's really good. I can't remember the actor who plays him. But he's very good. It's the guy who plays the Blob in X-Men Origins.
That's right. He did play the Blob. Oh my God. Yeah, he was fun. Shame when everyone finally gets together, he just dies.
Yeah, Barry sacrifices himself to let everyone escape, and then they get up back to the ice
level.
The ice level.
Leon and is the football guy still alive? I don't remember, and I think clone Michelle Rodriguez is also gone.
So no, she's the good clone's gone. Good clone is gone.
That's because Jill is on the ground level waiting for all of them, along with the Michelle Rodriguez clone. I don't know how she got out.
And the Michelle Rodriguez clone takes the Las Plagas parasite, and that causes Leon to say, the Las Plagas parasite, in his grizzled voice.
No, I know how we just explained the Las Plagas, but this is the first time they've ever been mentioned in the movie itself. Continue, Dave.
You see it on like a little computer screen for like a split second, but this is the first time it's actually mentioned out loud.
By name.
By name.
By name.
So she's got superpowers now thanks to the Las Plagas parasite, and they start an epic duel
to the death,
complete with Mortal Kombat X-ray moves.
Yeah. I literally texted Dave the moment I saw that. Literally, I think like someone blocks a punch, and Michelle Rodriguez punches it, and then it just does a zoom in X-ray, like when you do the X-ray moves from MK 10 and 11. This is the only time in the franchise where that happens, and it happens 2 times in this fight, just to show like a broken arm and cracked ribs.
Yeah. Alice like almost dies.
But then she...
Because Joe kicks her ass so hard.
Yeah, but then they get saved Jill.
Yeah.
But then Michelle Rodriguez is still like She-Hulk, and then...
But then they break the ice, and the zombies that came I guess they swam up through the water.
Yeah,
after
that were in the
base
facility when
blew
it
up.
blew up. So the zombies floated up.
Why they didn't die in the explosion, who knows?
And then Michelle Rodriguez is like, you can't kill me.
And
then
then she
the
dies.
zombies just grab her and drag her underwater, presumably to eat her forever
Yeah.
underwater in the ice cold depths of the Antarctic. And then
What was the sequel bait for this movie?
the sequel bait
I don't remember.
is that
this.
Wesker brings all of our heroes together to Washington, D.C.
That's
Because the next movie is the final chapter. So at Washington, D.C., Wesker gives Alice
Wesker's the
back...
president.
Yeah, Wesker's the president, gives Alice back her powers, and then everyone that's still alive, like Claire, everyone, Leon, Ada, a football guy, the most important Resident Evil character, and Alice all stand waiting for the epic zombie horde to attack DC because, of course, the zombies would attack the Capitol. That's a thing zombies do. They go, man, where do I go after I eat brunch? I know, to the president. So, also, I don't know how a final stand in America would happen when the zombies were all over the world, but whatever. When zombie apocalypse happens, it's only in the U.S. apparently. And that's the cliffhanger.
All right, where are you putting this one?
I'm okay with, because of how comically bad it was in Barry, I'm thinking D or E. Your call.
I'll say D because this was the only one aside from Apocalypse that I actually got any enjoyment out of. I was laughing my ass off at this movie. I had a good time watching it.
I agree.
Because it was funny. It was the first film in a while that I wasn't bored to tears with. I actually did get some enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, and I did too, but specifically because I kept asking, why is this even happening?
Exactly.
What's going to happen next? And when I say that, it's like a fight scene in a tunnel, and then Alice just finds a clone factory of herself, and I'm like, why not? Who cares anymore? It's obviously he didn't.
All right.
He didn't care.
So we're good on D?
D tier.
D tier.
D tier.
All right. So now we're here. We're at Resident Evil, the final chapter.
First, we get a flashback, of course. My name is Alice. I was a security executive officer at
The final flashback.
The final flashback still doesn't explain Extinction. In
No.
fact, the past couple movies don't actually mention the Mad Max one.
No.
At all. They don't even reference it.
This is also the only one that we both watched together. We decided, this is the last movie in the series. We may as well get together, get some, have some fun with it.
Yeah.
Laugh at it together.
Of course. And
this one's a wild one, man.
Okay, so remember the cliffhanger movie part in the last one about where they all stand together? Okay, the movie doesn't talk about that. Everyone died. Wesker left. Alice,
Wesker was not good.
yeah, Wesker tricked everyone.
He was still bad.
He tricked everyone to come to DC and then controlled the zombies to come and kill everyone so that he could escape.
But I think that's the only time he's in the movie, right?
No, he's in the end.
Is he?
Yep. So
I don't remember.
Alice then wakes up, goes, "Oh, what happened?" and tries to look for people, and then has to judo punch zombies in DC until what? Oh my God! Wait, what did happen in this movie? Did she? The tyrant guy from the third movie.
Yeah. So the bad guy from Extinction is alive, and he's like,
"You killed a clone, Alice. I'm the real one."
Yeah, I'm the real one.
And turns out the reason they did the apocalypse. Stay with me, Dave. They changed the reasoning again because what it actually was is the rich wanted their own Noah's Ark so they could cull the entire population to make the better race of humanity in a Noah's Ark. So the zombies were meant to get rid of the population so the rich and powerful live, which if you go, oh, wow, that's such a smart plan. Are you high? How do you get rid of the zombies? And that's because we find out, because the Red Queen is also back.
Yep.
And tells Alice, I'm nuking the whole world. And if you want me to stop nuking the world, you gotta help me kill the bad guy from 3 and Wesker. And Alice goes, why not? Sure.
Yep. So she goes, she meets up with Claire again, right?
No, I thought she got kidnapped by the bad guy.
She gets kidnapped by Umbrella, by the bad guy from Can we find his name?
Okay, hold on.
We keep referring to him as the bad guy from 3.
Because he doesn't have a personality.
I know.
What am I supposed to do?
Dr. Isaacs.
Dr. Isaacs. That's
Okay, so Dr. Isaacs kidnaps her, and she's like, nah, I don't want to be here. I gotta do.
I was supposed to go. The Red Queen wanted her to go back to the Hive. She was driving to the Hive, and Umbrella captured her.
So she cuts off, what's his name? Dr. Isaacs' his arm, and he's like, ow, why did you do that? And she escapes, but then, she escapes on like a Umbrella motorcycle that has like a handprint?
Yeah, handprint scanner that she uses his handprint on.
Yeah, that's why she needed the hand.
Why would technology advance when there's an apocalypse? Because everyone who would invent things are dead? All because you have money doesn't mean you invent things. You just pay for people to invent things because you're not smart. You're rich, obviously.
Yep.
So I don't know where that technology came from and how it appeared somehow
knows.
in the past. This is 2016. 20 years. I don't know.
But anyways, she's going to the Hive, going back to Raccoon City.
She goes to Raccoon City, which isn't a crater in the earth.
No, it is a crater.
But only one part of Raccoon City is a crater.
Which is not how it was.
Yeah, it was supposed to be,
the entirety of the city.
It's supposed to look like if Kansas, but without the crops, just the flat nothingness of destruction.
Claire's back, and Claire's like, whoa, my good pal Alice from the last, not the most recent movie, but the movie before that. And I'm pretty sure Kmart is in there.
But they don't call her Kmart.
They don't refer to her at all. She's not in the credits, but I am like 99% sure I saw her.
Yeah, and
I don't know.
There's just a tower where now everyone's just kind of vibing at for some reason. They don't explain it.
And Umbrella comes up and they just kind of like
do tower defense.
No, yeah. So Umbrella is like leading a human at the forefront of their little tank army to lure zombies, and they just sent this army of zombies to attack the tower, and admittedly they do something kind of cool where they dump barrels of gasoline over the tops of the tower and light it on fire as it's going down just to burn everything.
It's
actually really cool.
It was a tower that had like a hollow base. Like it had the rooms around it, but in the middle it was like kind of like empty, like so you could look up at the skylight and they just dumped gasoline, and as it lit, it's cool. It was really cool. One positive about the movie, we're doing good for 40 minutes in.
I know.
So that happens after the tower defense segment.
They go. So what? Dr. Isaacs somehow survives this. He like gets blown. He's in a tank that gets blown up from the inside, but he's somehow okay.
Yeah, and then he goes to another tank, kills everyone, and then
for some reason they don't mention why he kills them.
Yeah, and he just kind of with his no arm gets the zombies all to come back, and they're gonna follow Alice.
Yeah.
Alice and company go to the Hive.
They go down into the Hive.
And guess what? If you were expecting a base where they just walk through and do the plot, no, it's another base where there's traps.
Wireframe and all.
Wireframe and all, where there's traps and someone in a control room going, activate death thing.
And this is Wesker.
This is Wesker now. So Wesker is in the bottom of the Hive in a room that was never mentioned in the Hive that somehow survived the Hive blowing up because it's all decorative and ornate. And he's just like, boop, 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 I control everything.
But he's like, I can't do this by myself. And he wakes up. The real Dr. Isaac.
That's right. Dr. Isaac that was in the tank was a clone.
He was another clone.
And he goes, all clones believe they're the real one. Otherwise, they would rebel and not be clones or something. And I don't know.
And this is also where we start getting hints about Alice's origins.
Yeah, because, you know, it's only been 6 movies.
Yeah.
You know what's really good in a movie titled Resident Evil, the final chapter? Have the backstory of the one character who's in all 6 of them. That seems like a really good idea, Dave.
Yeah,
right?
no, I'm with you, man.
That's why, like, I'm very upset this wasn't nominated for an Oscar. Sorry, whatever movie was up. Whiplash? I don't know. This should have won.
But
So
they get into the hive.
and there's death traps.
Of course.
There's like a random super soldier tyrant zombie that they fight.
Sure. I don't remember that, but sure.
It was a zombie from 6.
Oh, okay, that's probably. Oh, that's right. I remember that.
Yep, you know, because everyone loves Resident Evil 6.
Yeah.
And
we
then
were like trying to figure out what the hell the thing was.
yeah, I had to Google it. I spent a good
You had to go to the
couple minutes.
Resident Evil wiki.
And then they just kind of walk around the building, and then they get to the bottom of the hive. There's some people who die. No one cares.
Yeah.
And then the plot twist happens where Alice was a clone
Yeah.
the whole
like-
time.
Of like the other guy who ran Umbrella, who we've never heard of until this movie.
Yeah.
It's like it was his daughter, and she had progeria.
Yeah,
Like that, is that what the?
it was something.
It's like that thing where like it makes you physically age faster.
Yeah.
So she was like in her 20s, or she was like in her 30s, looking like she was like in her
100.
70s.
And she's like, Alice, I made you to be the woman I always wanted to be, but couldn't. Also, I put my AI and it modeled the Red Queen after me as a child because, you know, that's what my father always saw me as. So I made both of these things in order for you to come here and fight Dr. Isaacs and Wesker.
Because Dr. Isaacs now has superpowers, and
Yeah.
his superpowers amount to Robert Downey Jr. and Sherlock Holmes.
Oh my God, yes! Alice suddenly gets the ability to do that! And then he goes, too late. I've already predicted and analyzed every single movement you're about to do. None of them have over a 50% chance of working, all of which result in a 100% of your death.
Yep.
And I'm like, and we were dying, and they were showing every single scenario, because it's like a dining room table.
So it's literally the scenes from Sherlock Holmes.
And I kept whispering,
Discombobulate.
the whole time, because it goes, so you're gonna grab the glass, and I'll grab your arm, and then I lean over, discombobulate. It was just straight up ripped off from the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes.
Which is a weird movie to rip off.
Like, dude, imagine
Like,
waking up.
because like that's a good movie, but I don't think it was like a smash hit.
Well, dude, okay, imagine, right? Let's say you're Martin Scorsese, okay?
Okay.
And you're falling asleep, and you go up like, dude, you don't want to make The Irishman like 30 times better? Remember the discombobulate scene from Sherlock Holmes starring Robert Downey Jr.? What if I had Robert De Niro stare at a bottle and analyze every way to whack someone with it?
Good point.
I do that. You do that. Martin Scorsese would do that. Paul W. Anderson was obviously the smarter one. He committed to it. He's a real man's man.
Can't fault him for that. Can't fault him for that.
So now Alice. Oh yeah. So then she's like, hey, you know what these guys also have? An airborne antivirus, which the moment it breaks, it will travel across the air across the entire world.
And kill everything that's infected with the T virus.
That means you, Alice. And Alice goes, I was the woman that you designed me to be, so I'm designed to do it. And I'm like, my brain is already an omelet. Can we just go on with the stop talking fight now? So they fight. No, wait.
They kill Wesker.
They kill Wesker.
Remember, because like they're trying to figure out a way to kill Wesker, and Wesker's like, "Ha! I'm an Umbrella employee. You can't do to me."
The base won't hurt me because I am. And then the lady.
This is actually a pretty solid scene. What's her name that Alice was a clone of? She's
Alicia.
Alicia, how did you remember that?
Because I was like, because in the beginning of the movie they said a name that sounded like Alice, but it wasn't Alice. So I've been racking my brain of what name sounds like Alice. So it was Alicia, and
so she goes, "All right, hey Umbrella, Red Queen, Albert Wesker, you're fired."
And then a door falls on him and kills him
immediately. It was really funny.
But he still survives, and then Alice gives him a gun and says, you can decide on what to do next, and then goes to fight Dr. Isaacs, who's a super soldier.
So they're like fighting in an elevator as the whole base is like blowing up around them.
Yeah, then they fight in the laser hallway again,
Yup.
and then
No one gets cut up though.
and then they
get to the surface, and like she's about to release the virus, and then Dr. Isaacs comes back, but then the other Dr. Isaacs is like, "Hey, you're not Dr. Isaacs. I'm Dr. Isaacs," and the real Dr. Isaacs is like, "No, I'm Dr. Isaacs," and he kills him.
Yeah, they literally whipped out the "I'm Dirty Dan." Yeah. They really, for the final chapter, literally the villain goes to his clone. I'd say I'm Dirty Dan. You can't be Dirty Dan because I'm Dirty Dan.
Who you calling Pinhead?
And then Alice, with a couple seconds remaining on the ginormous nuke button, breaks the T-virus, and then everyone gets cured and Alice dies.
But then she's alive because it only killed the T-virus in her. Because she was... I don't know how she survived. It's really not explained very well.
And then she, I'm not joking, goes on a motorcycle and rides to the sunset. Movie's over. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Goodbye. Go away.
Okay,
I'm okay with F tier on this one.
I think I'm okay with F tier too.
F tier. That was incredibly.
Yeah.
Nothing made sense.
Yeah.
There was so much exposition in a movie that has never been about exposition. They tried way too hard. All the action scenes had the shaky camera like Batman Begins, but somehow 20 times worse. Believe me, every plot point was stupid. The fact that us talking about gasoline falling down a building and then they light it on fire was the best part of the movie should tell you that it's not good.
Also, you may have noticed that Jill wasn't mentioned at all, despite surviving the last movie. That's because she wasn't in this.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's implied that she went with them to the final stand in DC and then died.
Yeah, but they don't mention, they don't.
They don't. Which is pretty impressive considering what? Chris, Leon.
Chris hasn't been seen since Afterlife.
Oh, I thought he was there at the final battle. So
I don't
Chris,
think so.
Ada, and Jill literally died off screen in between movies.
Yeah.
I can't. But that was the Paul W.S. Anderson Resident Evil films. I can't. These suck. These are bad.
Yeah.
So now that we've finished the Paul W.S. Anderson 6-movie parter, you'd think we'd be done. But I guess Capcom pulled out the Bazinga card.
They pulled a Spider-Man. They said, we got to reboot this now.
Yup.
We can't wait this long for another Resident Evil movie. We need another one now.
So
now we're looking at 2021's Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, directed by
who are you?
Johannes Roberts, who is most well known for the 47 Meters Down films, which I've heard are not good.
And a sequel to The Strangers,
right,
which I also heard was not that good.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I know nothing about it.
All right.
So this was, from the beginning, they were Constantine Films, which is the studio. They were going on about how this would be more in line with the games and how it would be more of a horror film.
Yeah.
So again, this was the only one I've seen before. I kind of hated it when I first saw it, so we're gonna talk about it now.
Okay, so they made the executive decision to adapt the games, but for some reason, they chose to adapt the plot of 1 and 2 happening at the same time. If you've ever played these games, first of all, you'll know Resident Evil 1 and 2 take place 6 months apart. No biggie. No biggie until you realize that Resident Evil 2 and 3 take place at the same time. So we're already like messing with everything. Faithful adaptation, my... What are you going on about? And you know what? After watching it, it did not work. One bit. Zero. Zilch. Nada. It was bad. The movie starts off with Claire being in an orphanage
With Lisa Trevor.
With Lisa Trevor, a character from Resident Evil 1, who Claire never ever met, because by the time we're introduced to Claire, she dies in 1. Yeah. So I don't know where this is going on. So Claire's in an orphanage and finds Lisa Trevor, because Lisa Trevor's like a goblin, and it's, you know, the Raccoon City orphanage, and bad stuff happens, and then she wakes up, and it's a pretty faithful, although kind of cringy adaptation of the beginning of Resident Evil 2, with Claire in the truck giving a ride to the fat guy so that she can find her brother Chris. Also at the same time, we are introduced to Leon S. Kennedy.
In the greatest character introduction scene I've ever seen in any movie. These two, so Leon, if you're not aware, Leon S. Kennedy is a cop for the RPD, the Raccoon City Police Department.
Yep.
So he's kind of just in a diner, just kind of like
he's vibing.
He's like sleeping.
Yeah.
He's like napping at the bar. These other two cops come in, and they go over to Jill and Wesker, who are there too. The stars, they're just hanging out. And then they notice Leon, and they're like, "Oh, you're that rookie who shot his partner during training, right? Leon S. Kennedy? What's the S stand for? Stupid?" This is an actual line in this film.
We're not lying.
I am not lying or exaggerating. I would not do that to you, dear viewer.
Also, because again, I'm going to continuously hammer on the faithfulness of the adaptation. Everyone was excited for Leon for his first day of policing, so why is everyone a jerk to him? Doesn't make sense if you played literally, the tragic part of Resident Evil 2 is when Leon enters the dead police station full of zombies, there's literally all these signs welcoming him for his first day. So why everyone just hates him in this movie? Jill hates him, Chris hates him, Wesker hates him, the police commissioner hates him. Everyone just hates him. I'm like, and he didn't do anything.
No.
He just slept in a diner, and everyone's just being a jerk. And then Jill does like some flirty flirt with him, and then they leave. And then Leon's like, "Ma'am, why are you just bleeding from your eye?" And the woman who runs the diner goes, "I have no idea what you're talking about." And there's like blood going down her eye. And then stuff happens.
Yeah.
Claire runs over. The truck guy runs over a zombie, but they don't know it's a zombie, which again, kind of like what happened in the game. But the zombie at some point bites the truck guy's dog. So, so Claire gets dropped off at home. Now in the game, in Resident Evil 2, Claire's trying to find Chris because after the events of Resident Evil 1, Chris and Jill went missing. Jill went into hiding, and I don't even remember where canonically Chris was. I forget.
I think isn't that what they do in Code Veronica? Like that picks up that plot point?
Yes, that picks up, that's right, you're right. Code Veronica picks up that plot point. But that's beside the point, because we're only talking about 2 right now.
Yes.
So she goes to Raccoon City. Raccoon City is now a suburb for some reason, like a small town.
Yeah, it's not a city.
Suburb. It's not.
It's a town.
Yeah, it's like a town. It's like, and I'm not talking like Melrose. I'm not talking about Malden. I'm not talking about Everett. I'm talking like if you went into like
I'm talking like rural Vermont.
Yeah, rural Vermont. Like a random town in New Hampshire that you can obviously tell where the heroin hit. Like that's all I'm saying, right? And so why they changed that, again, I don't know. Claire breaks into her own house and just finds Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris is just there, and Chris is like, shirtless, like, "Oh, I gotta get back to the forest, you're crazy, Claire." And Claire's like, "I'm right, Umbrella's doing something." And so now Claire's a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, I hated that so much.
Even though, like...
Because, like, Claire, in the games, is, like, one of the more level-headed characters.
She is the only character that has ever played straight in the whole entirety of Resident Evil. Her... Like, she is literally, if you had to lock me in a room and I had to talk to any of the main characters, I talk to Claire, because she seems to be the only one that's literally sane, okay?
Exactly.
All these people are wackos or weirdos, okay? Claire is level-headed, and they're like, what if she was a conspiratorial nut who was not that she left Raccoon City because she didn't want to deal with the city life, it's she was almost forcibly driven out by the Redfield family, and also Chris does not like Claire. I'm like, what? They barely even explain it other than, Claire, you're wacky. You bring shame on the family. I'm supposed to be the head cop of this town, and you being a wacko hurts my reputation. Get out. And then Claire's like, something bad's going to happen, Chris. And Chris says, no, it won't. And then Chris leaves. And then Claire gets immediately attacked by her neighbor, who's now a zombie.
Yeah.
Like, immediately. Like, Chris literally shuts the door. Claire goes downstairs. And then the back door's now open. A child runs through, says, I wouldn't do that. And then a zombie pops up.
Yeah.
Okay, and now Leon is now at the station. Everyone's at the station now. Everyone's doing their witty cop banter, which, of course, witty cop banter means just be a jerk, and then have, like, the writer say, if they're really mean to each other, it's relatable and likable, just like real life. Because wouldn't you work at someone where people constantly berate you?
Absolutely.
I would too. So they get a call that the mansion, Spencer Mansion, which now overlooks Raccoon City, which it did not in the original. It was miles away on the other side of the country.
In the middle of the forest.
In the middle of a forest.
It was nothing. It was like just a couple miles into the woods.
Oh, I thought it was on the opposite.
No, I think it was just like up in the mountains.
Oh, okay then. Still, it's far away from Raccoon City. And they get a call saying something bad's happening, so they got to go find what's-his-face in the mansion. And, of course, they're mean to Leon, and they force Leon to stay.
Yeah.
So now...
Because he's not part of the Resident Evil 1 plot. He's part of the Resident Evil 2 plot. That's how the games work.
Which requires him to stay at the police station.
Exactly.
Which is a pretty good, faithful-looking adaptation of the game.
Yeah.
It looks basically the same. They even got the fact that under the level is the parking garage. They even got that correct. But yeah, so... I'm trying to remember what happens because it's just really stupid. So they all go to the Spencer Mansion. Claire goes to the police station. The head cop tries to escape when he realizes there's zombies. The Umbrella's pinning everyone in, which for a rural town, I would imagine that's inherently harder than a city where there's only one highway bridge out of town.
You would think.
Like it's surrounded by water with one highway bridge. I figure like a small rural town, like what's going to stop you if you just left the car and go in like the cornfield? What's going to stop you? What did they? Nothing. Did they just hire men to just hide in the cornfield with locked and loaded?
A whole enormous perimeter.
There's like a circle of dudes just surrounding the city, just vibing, waiting for someone to show up. I don't know.
Lord knows.
The cop guy comes back. The zombie dogs are like the full apocalypse is now happening.
Yeah.
And by apocalypse is in. There's a couple zombies. There's a couple zombies.
It's like a handful.
Yeah, because it's a small town, so now it makes less sense why there's zombies. There's not. They have a scene where somehow in the locked garage of the police station, one of the zombie dogs somehow got in. And two, it made sense because the police station was over a lab, which had the zombies, but they took that out. So the dog just shows up, and the police guy almost dies, and then Claire just also somehow enters the locked parking garage and saves him. And then Leon almost kills Claire. Because that's the thing that happens.
Yeah.
And then Wesker gets a deal to sell everyone out at the mansion.
There's
too much stuff
Wesker's
happening.
not working for Umbrella.
That's right, he's working for a counter-terrorist group.
He's working for the same company that Ada works for. Spoiler alert, Ada shows up. We'll talk about that in a bit.
Oh my god, yep. So he's like, instead of being the bad guy who sells everyone out and works for Umbrella, he's now working against Umbrella.
Yeah.
But he has to sell out everyone at the mansion first so that everyone slowly dies. So Jill and Chris have to survive. But because the script's badly written, Jill doesn't have a character and is almost never in
Jill
it.
may as well not be in that film.
Not only does
with how little impact she has on the plot, she may as well not be in the film.
Not only does she not even look remotely close to any design of Jill ever conceived, they didn't even bother to include like the little beret she had in one.
That's like the easiest thing they could have done.
They just could have popped a beret on her.
Yeah.
Called it a day. No, she's just a regular cop lady.
I'll say this though, Robbie Amell as Chris, very good casting.
That was good casting.
He looks like
He literally.
like a Chris Redfield.
That is the only. You want to know something funny? Until I got used to the movie, the only character I could recognize thoroughly was Chris every single time.
Yeah.
Because he looks like Chris. Yeah. So then I think the plots separate to Wesker sells out everyone in the mansion. So now Chris and Jill have to survive. Meanwhile, at the same time, instead of going into the laboratory and blowing it up, because again, they cut it out, the library's under the Spencer mansion. So now Claire, the cop guy, and Leon have to find a way into the Spencer mansion, but they can't leave the town because of Umbrella, so they have to find lab networkings to get to the lab under the Spencer mansion. And they go to the orphanage because Claire knew that there was a way in. And maybe Lisa, whatever her name is still alive. Yeah, Lisa Trevor's still alive.
Who is alive, I'm pretty sure, right?
Who has the most, I'm just going to do the hottest take. She's the one character where they actually got the accurate design for and everything. Weird that it's Lisa Trevor because most RE fans do not remember Lisa Trevor.
No.
She was a very minor character, but whatever. And Lisa Trevor basically is like, friend, and then helps Claire, like she's like Gollum.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's also a liquor that they just kill.
That's right, I forgot about that.
Yeah, which it has decent build up and looks kind of cool, but they just kind of kill him. So now everyone's in the mansion. The guy that they were supposed to protect in the mansion, turns out he was fine. Wesker finds him, goes to kill him. The guy becomes the tyrant. Turns out this guy runs the town.
Yeah, Birkin. Birkin's the main guy.
Birkin's the main guy again.
Yeah, he becomes the G, which has the most GameCube-looking CGI I've ever seen in a big budget blockbuster.
And he brings up the plot point that I said with Claire, like where Chris is like, Claire, get out of town. You're going to make me look bad as the lead cop. The guy's like, I've always tricked you, Chris. You are never going to be the lead cop. You buffoon. And Chris goes, eat bullets, dirtbag, as he's like trying not to cry. And I'm like, what am I watching here?
It's something.
He like kills Wesker. Wait, no. Jill kills Wesker because Jill had the hots for Wesker, and then she's crying because she killed Wesker. None of this is making any sense. I'm trying my best.
I'm very lost.
So she kills...
Because Sherry's in the movie, right? Like, she's...
Yeah.
I think...
It looks like Sherry...
There's a standoff.
And Sherry points a gun at Wesker, and Wesker points a gun at her, and then she... I guess it looks like she pulls the trigger, but it was actually Jill because Wesker positioned himself in a hallway that is completely pitch black behind him that he wasn't looking because, his back was facing down the hallway. And then Jill shoots him, and then Wesker goes, by the way, kid, I wasn't actually going to shoot you. I'm not all that bad. I died. And then he dies. And then the G-Virus gets the Birkins, or Birkins, the Incredible Hulk, does the thing with Chris.
Yeah.
And then I don't even remember how they beat him, to be totally honest.
I don't remember either.
They just kind of like...
I think they just do the train scene.
They do the train scene.
He dies.
Raccoon City blows up. And then...
Everyone lives happily ever after.
Jill, Chris, Claire, Leon, they all kind of leave because they're, the characters that...
And then they do the funny sequel bait where Ada comes in and Wesker's alive and he's like, oh, I can't see. And Ada's like, you're going to need these. And she hands him his sunglasses.
Yeah, from now on. And then Wesker's like huddled in a corner naked with only sunglasses on. Crying, and Ada's like, we got work to do.
It was so
and I'm
funny.
like, what am I doing? I actually had a line because I thought of the funniest bar. The after credits scene is Wesker. I relate to Wesker because when Wesker gets up, it's like me waking up when I'm sick after I took a little more NyQuil than I'm supposed to. Because he just emerges from the sheet like,
All right, so what are we feeling for this? I'm thinking F. Yeah. F.
This is terrible. I literally could not believe this happened. Like, I don't understand the thought process of any single part of this movie at all. I almost like, And the fact that he watched this in theaters.
I didn't watch it in theaters. Are you kidding me?
Wait, when did you watch this?
I watched it, I think, last year when Brian, my co-host of Talking Toku, he was in town, and we just decided. No, was it? I think it was before he moved, and it was like right before he moved, so we were hanging out, and we saw it was like available on VOD. I'm like, right, what's Resident Evil?
So
it was like $20 to rent. He's like, I'm not paying $20. If you split it with me, I'll rent it. I'm like, all right.
Oh my God, yeah.
So I did not watch that in theaters, but I may as well.
You spent $10 to watch it.
I may as well.
I had to abuse a free trial from
Stars
because they took it off of all streaming services.
Yeah, you can't. Stars does that weird thing where like you can't even rent some of the movies they have. Like, you have to get it on Stars.
Yeah, so like this is terrible.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Oh my God.
What?
I have the Wikipedia page open.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at the last sentence.
Yes.
In a mid-credits scene, Albert Wesker is saved from death by Ada Wong and is given his trademark sunglasses as an his trademark
sunglasses.
Thanks, Wikipedia. This movie sucks.
Yes. But you know what? We're not even at the bottom of the barrel yet.
Yeah, there's one more. Netflix decided, hey, you know what should come out in the exact same year as this movie?
No, it was this year.
Was it this year?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. I thought 2 and
So just 1 year later.
Yeah, 1 year later. 1 year later, they decided, guys, hear me out.
Let's do a whole 8-episode series about Resident Evil, except it's not about Resident Evil at all.
Guys, remember how much you loved Alice? Remember how much you loved it when OCs were the main protagonist of a Resident Evil movie? Fellas, they took that to heart. The TV show is about 2 original OCs.
It's Albert Wesker's daughters, Billy and Jade. Never heard of them before. Totally separate from Wesker's other child from the games.
From Resident Evil 6, his actual illegitimate child. Who, if it takes place in the same timeline, would be alive at that point.
Yes. I'm gonna just keep it real with y'all. I hated the series. It is one of the worst television series I have ever seen.
So, what makes this bad? Well, there's multiple reasons. But the original premise is it tries to show you how another apocalypse started. Issue, they decide to tell it in 2 formats. One that shows the future where it already happened, where every one of the main characters that we're introduced to are adults now.
The ones who are at least still alive.
And the past, which shows the lead up before it happened.
Which is not a terrible way to go about things. During watching this, I also watched Mike Flanagan's Oculus, which does a very similar thing, flashing back between the past and present. The problem is, with Oculus, it makes narrative sense when it does that. With Resident Evil, there is no rhyme or reason as to when it flashes back. You could be in the middle of smack in the middle of an action scene in the future, and then it'll snap back to Billy and Jade in high school.
Yeah, doing tricks on a skateboard.
Or getting into fights over veganism.
Yeah. So I guess we have to go over it. So Billy Wesker is the first daughter. She dresses, acts like Billie Eilish, and is introduced to a Billie Eilish song. Now, guys, I know this is really hard because a lot of you don't have media bias, but it's okay. I'll help you. Mm-hmm. Because it seems like they wrote this part for Billie Eilish, and she looked at it and went, good Lord, no. Here's a song, go away. And you know what?
Pretty based of her.
Yeah, because Billie Eilish is based. She's pretty smart, considering she's younger than us.
Yes.
And you know what?
Billie Eilish, come on the show, talk about your experiences on the Resident Evil series.
I'll talk listen, Billie Eilish, if you come, we'll just have a podcast where we just like shoot the breeze and just talk about video games.
Yeah.
We don't even need to talk about drama. Other
Music.
things. We'll even get Phineas on. Sure, we'll have him
Yeah.
Phineas be a separate episode.
Hell yeah.
All right? We don't care. We'll just talk to you. Do you know why? Because it's more interesting than this show. Okay?
I mean, that's a low bar. That's a real low bar.
I'm sorry, that was mean. I'm sorry, Billie Eilish and Phineas. So the past, it already spoils the future. It just starts with the future, and Jade is like a scientist trying to figure out, how do I cure the zombie virus? Then she gets...
But the thing is, they don't call them zombies. They call them zeros. Why, you ask? I don't know. It's that thing where like The Walking Dead came out and everyone had to call zombies something cool and quirky. There's a really good Joel Haver video on it if you've seen that. It's just like, I can't believe all these biters just going around biting. It's like, I know, those sniffers took my family away from me. And it's a really good video. I really highly recommend you watch that. It's really funny. But everyone's got to have their own thing. And they went with zeros.
Which is really weird.
That doesn't even make sense.
It's really weird considering that there's already a multitude of zombie names in Resident Evil they could have picked. Like
Because,
zombies.
spoiler alert, the show confirms that the games are canon to this series.
Hold on, we're going a little too far.
I don't care.
We're going a little too far. Okay, we're not even done in the first 5 minutes. So Jade, as an adult, is studying zeros. She is Billy's sister in the future. Jade is studying zeros, and an experiment failed because she wants to figure out how to cure zombies.
Yes.
Then she gets jumped by a ginormous,
caterpillar.
3-story tall caterpillar.
Where did it come from?
That picks her up by the foot, and then just like whiplashes her onto a car, and then
She should have died.
She should have
That
died.
should have been the end of the series.
Yeah,
because she's just dead.
This is a multi-foot tall caterpillar.
Like, we're talking straight kaiju size.
Yeah, and a bunch of random Irish dudes just come up and just shoot her. I'm sorry, not shoot her, shoot the caterpillar. The caterpillar dies. And then it just hard cuts to a Billie Eilish song, and then them as
here's the thing.
kids.
It doesn't hard cut because it's when she's knocked out. So you can kind of see that they tried to do a thing like, oh, she's remembering this in her dreams when she's unconscious. But then it drops that immediately in the second episode after she wakes up.
Yeah, and it's
Immediately.
so now we're at the past, and we have Billy Wesker, who again is Billie Eilish, who has a rage problem where she can't stop her. If people get on her bad side, her anxiety takes over, and she becomes the Hulk and punches people. And Jade is, I guess, supposed to be the straight-laced person to bring her back to reality. And they also have a very cute dog.
They
And
do.
they got, I already forgot what's his face's name.
Lance Reddick.
They got Lance Reddick to play Wesker.
Which is a very good casting. Lance Reddick is a great actor.
Great
and
actor.
I think he was a great choice for Wesker.
Yep, I hard agree. Also because he was one of the 5 good things I wrote about this show. We'll get to those as we go. The caterpillar was the first one.
Yeah.
Because I was literally hooting and hollering at the fact that it's like, how do we make a bigger zombie? Screw that. Giant caterpillar.
Giant caterpillar.
Then it's Wesker, okay? So basically, there's this random chick who bullies Billy for being a vegan,
Yeah.
because they moved to this random place in South Africa.
It's New Raccoon City.
Yeah, New Raccoon City, and it's a place that's hoity-toity to the point where the first line...
Everything's white.
Yep.
Like all the buildings are white.
Everything's white.
It's very weird.
Everything's
and unsettling.
perfect. You'd think they would do some evil neighbor plot, but no, it's just straight up a regular town. The neighbor's like, oh my goodness, she's a vegan. We have 5 restaurants here, 2 of which are vegan. Other one has vegan options. So then they go to school, and in the school, Billy gets bullied for
being vegan.
for being vegan in the town that has vegan options and multiple vegan restaurants. This one chick just bullies her, and then Billy becomes a laughingstock, and she gets sad.
Yeah.
So then Jade puts on a mask and beats the crap out of the bully in like a bathroom stall.
Yeah, and then the girl's dad is like, I want to press charges. And Wesker comes in and he's like, hey, who do you work for? And he's like, Umbrella. He's like, how many people can do your job? He's like, I don't know, a bunch of people. Like, you know how many people can do my job? One.
And do you know why? Because I'm Albert Wesker. And the guy goes,
Albert Mother Wesker.
And the guy goes, kid, apologize quick before I lose my job. and then the Wesker, he basically silver tongues his way to get Billy to not have any issues, not have and take a couple sick days off for mental health. Yes, I am, in fact, talking about the Resident Evil TV show. So while she has a mental health day, she goes to her dad's work at Umbrella and sees that in a secret room, they're taking a cage full of bunnies. So when she comes back, she goes, Jade, you know what we need to do? Break into eco-terrorism.
Umbrella says they don't use animal testing, but they clearly are. We need to put a stop to it.
So they break into Umbrella to take pictures of bunnies. And then there's a cage in the corner that has an audibly violent animal. And Billy goes,
this is a good idea. I should open this cage.
She's like, I don't have good lighting. I should, instead of turning my flashlight on, I should open the cage. All this, also, I don't even know why she's doing this, because her dad works there. So she was literally going to
talk to him.
Like, this is the first issue, is that Billy and Jade are completely unlikable. Billy literally was about to do eco-terrorism to make her dad look bad because she just saw a bunny.
Yeah.
She literally just saw a bunny go into a room and goes, oh. So she opens the door, and it's the iconic, in every movie, the zombie
Cerberus,
dog.
yep.
So Billy gets chased by the dog, and then she gets separated from Jane, and then she gets bit by the dog. End of episode 1.
Yep.
So in the future...
Yeah. So Jade gets captured by these guys, and they're like, hey, you're Jade Wesker. We called Umbrella. They're coming for you. And Jade's like, no, why'd you do that? And then all the zombies come and kill everyone.
Hold on. We forgot to mention now there are literal territories in the post-apocalyptic world.
This is like even more Mad Max than Resident Evil Extinction.
There are literal biomes.
Yes.
And like Umbrella literally has country-wide reign over specific areas. There's like, you know, this zone, this zone, this zone, this zone, you know, so continue.
Yeah, so Umbrella comes, they have this cool dude named Baxter who's kind of unlikable at first.
But he's really funny.
He's funny. There is no way you can convince me of what accent he's doing. It like sometimes it sounds like British, sometimes it sounds South African. It's impossible to tell what accent he's going for. So he's like, ha, it's me, Jade. I got your sister. She's looking for you. And Jade's like, I don't care. I'm out of here. So she leaves, and she come across another group of people. And they die because of the zombies.
Yeah, and then she goes to this random old lady's house to get information.
Yeah, and with some guy named Barry, who I assume we both thought was going to be Barry Burton, because if you're going to have a Resident Evil show and have a guy named Barry, it's got to be Barry Burton.
Yeah, it's got to be Barry Burton, but it's not. And it turns out this old lady that Jade used to know her husband's been a zombie, and she locked him in the basement, and she's like, the totalitarian rule of Umbrella makes us that no, there's no zombies. Which, how they missed a zombie literally in her bathroom that's right next to the door that you open when you get into the house, I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know. But then she kills the zombie. The old lady tells her what he needs, and the old lady's like, get out, you killed my husband, even though he was a zombie trying to kill me. And then, back to the past, Samurai Jack.
Yeah, so Billy's like infected, maybe. We don't really know. I mean, we obviously she is, but like we're not sure if she's like symptomatic yet. So Jade's like, huh, what the fuck was up with that dog? That was a weird ass dog.
And Wesker comes in and saves the day and helps them escape Umbrella.
Yeah, because he's a cool dad. So Jade starts looking into Umbrella, see what's going on with them. She comes across this other student at school.
Who's a hacker?
He's got an exclusive anime that no one's ever seen before.
No. There's no internet.
There's no internet.
In Umbrella, there's no internet. It's like China where they have their own internet, which things are allowed.
Yeah.
And people want to watch the new anime. They want to watch Chainsaw Man. So what he does is he hacks the mainframe and he goes,
he gets
you
the
know,
anime.
he goes like, I'm gonna hack the mainframe, and then he goes, I have now torrented 50 gigs of hentai in one episode of Chainsaw Man, and we're like,
like it sounds like we're exaggerating, but like literally Billy like sees this crowd of people going, and she's like, oh, what's going on? He's like, and they're like, oh, what is his name, Simon or something?
He's a dork. His name is now Dork.
And this random student's like, oh, it's this guy. He's got this new anime. Everyone wants to watch it. That's literally what happened in the show.
Yeah,
it's not exaggeration.
Bro, they're like, oh, bro, you know, I mean, Chainsaw Man. I'm just making it up, but like,
of course.
That's what happened, and like. She's like, can you find some information for me? And he goes, is it porn?
Yes. Okay, I noticed this. I'm sure you did too. There is way too many mentions of porn in this series because all these characters are underage.
Yeah, and they keep talking about furry porn.
There is in the first episode, Billy's like, oh yeah, I usually read Zootopia porn. You guys probably saw the memes of that online.
That's real.
I thought that was fake. That's
had to
real.
look it up. Yeah, it's really weird.
It's uncomfortable. Like
some might say it's a little sussy on the writer's end. Thank you very much. All right.
It's like at least once an episode they mention porn. It's very
only
weird.
in the past part when they're
when they're underage. It's very weird, and I don't like it.
So she contacts someone outside the internet. It's like, tell me all you know about this Raccoon City. Thus, and the guy's like, what? Wait, you're Jade Wesker. In the future,
I'm glad we both had a thought.
Now Jade is in a refugee camp to try to sneak her way out of the umbrella-controlled territory, and there's like a bunch of poor families who can't afford the license. Don't worry, no one cares about that plot point because this guy's like, I know a way through the sewers in which we can do blah, 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 blah. By the way, Fat Guy Joe is back, and he brings the cops, and they shoot down everything, and he has the best bar where as they're literally shooting these poor people who can't afford to ride on the boat and are basically making camps around the port, he just looks over and goes, those are rubber bullets, right?
That's right.
And he goes, the guy shooting goes, and the fat guy just continues to eat his bag of pretzels or whatever, and I'm like,
yeah. So,
all right.
Jade and this one family, they're like going through like the tunnels, and then there's a big spider.
Yeah, the big.
No, it's the liquors.
The liquors.
They come across the liquors, and like everyone dies except so she goes into a convoy with people.
Yeah.
And they're like they kind of got to slow down because they know there's liquors in the tunnel. So they're like, all right, everyone shut up.
And then the fat guy comes back.
He's like, hey, what's going on down there?
And then he literally blares Cotton Eye Joe and does a little jig, and all the liquors just come out of the woodwork.
Honestly, I think that's a good scene. The liquor scene was pretty solid.
The liquor scene was really solid. The CG on the liquor, which for some reason looked way better than Welcome to Raccoon City and the Paul W.S. Anderson films. Both of which
Netflix usually puts a decent amount of money into their productions.
Yeah,
I'll give them credit for that. Like they're like as a company, but they do like budget their products really well.
So now the herd thins out. Everyone's assumed dead except one family and Jade, and they go into the tunnels with a couple people.
Into this like dilapidated building or something.
The family's kid's a zombie, and a giant zombie spider attacks them, and then
it fucking bisects the dad, which is rad.
Yeah,
like it stabs him and then just kind of like.
Yeah, like a Mortal Kombat fatality.
It was really cool.
And then back to the past. So I'm trying my best here. So
you don't even have to try. They certainly didn't.
So, hey, bazinga. So it's been 3 days since Billy was bitten, and Wesker is like under fire because Wesker's in trouble because the boss comes in named Evelyn.
Yeah.
No, not Evelyn from Resident Evil 7. No relation.
Yeah.
Just a character named Evelyn who is now the head of Umbrella.
And she's like, we gotta get this drug Joy out onto the streets.
It will get rid of all depression. And Wesker's like, if you take 200 of those pills in one day, you'll become a literal zombie.
Because there's the T virus in the antidepressants.
And she goes, okay, but like the recommended dose is like 2. Who's gonna take 200?
I think it wasn't even 200. I think he's like it was like in the 100,000s.
Yeah, 100,000. And he's like, hey, maybe we should keep testing. And she goes, but I already made these commercials. We're making it. So Wesker not only has to deal with the fact that he has to hide the fact that the zombie dog did his daughter. He has to hide the fact that his daughters were even there. He now has to keep making this drug and try to get it past testing. Meanwhile, it's been about 72 hours in which it's supposed to take effect.
Yep.
Billy is now being angry and doing angry things and cries. It's like, I'm a monster.
Her dog doesn't like her anymore.
Yeah, and then, I kid you not, they stopped the future flashbacks for a whole 45-minute sequence in which they solved Scooby-Doo mysteries around the house with the help of the hacker door. I'm not joking.
I gotta say was so funny because like the guy who played the hacker door had the easiest day for shooting because he's just like on his bed like on a phone screen. He had the easiest day of shooting for that.
Yeah, and I think someone pointed out in a lot of those scenes you can actually tell that what scenes like that, you put a green screen on your computer, like the whole screen. People could tell that in certain scenes they forgot to make it the whole screen. They just made it a random JPEG picture, so that way they could be lazy and just like have a regular computer screen and green screen it. Issue? You can tell the computer was offline for multiple reasons and multiple shots. So now we have the issue where some guy's talking to them through the internet and they look up things on the internet in which you can clearly tell it's not connected to the internet because they didn't green screen the full computer. In Resident Evil, after they solved the Scooby-Doo mysteries, they find out that Wesker did the things in Resident Evil 1 and tested out zombies. Future time! Jade and the fat guy are kidnapped by cultists who are just the people from Resident Evil 4, but they are even worse. They're French.
I know. That's probably the scariest thing in this.
That was the scariest part. The fat guy, they're in prison and they're gonna kill. The French people are like, to rule is to kill and to make chicken salad. I don't know. They're murderers.
Yeah. Baxter's now like kind of a likable character. He's funny. He's got a really awful line where he's opening the door to the cage and he's like, "Just call me the master of unlocking." It literally does that. It cuts to him and he has that dramatic pause.
Do you think he knew how bad that would sound and he just did it anyway?
Probably.
He's like
100%.
He saw the paycheck and goes, "I'm in. I don't care anymore." There's a really cool scene where once they open it, a bunch of Baxter's people have a shootout with the cult people, and like the fat guy has dual wields Leon's pistols from RE4. Leon's not in the show, I promise.
Yeah.
And he like has a kind of a cool.
Probably fortunately, it's probably a good thing Leon's not in the show.
Yeah, and he actually has a pretty good action sequence.
He does. It's pretty well choreographed.
Yeah, very well choreographed. Then he says, "Wasn't that cool, Jade?" And then Jade's just chopping things with a chainsaw, not even in the vicinity.
Yeah, because there's this other zombie that like can control the regular zombies, and Jade's like, gotta have it.
Yeah,
I want it.
She could telekinetically control every zombie.
Just by screaming, which, you know,
I remember that from Left 4 Dead. So she beheads it, takes the head, and then Billy as an adult shows up.
Yeah.
Back to the past.
Back to the past. Billy and Jay, Billy's depressed. No,
hold on. They're in the dad's office. Wesker shows up.
Oh yeah, Wesker shows up, and they're like, "Dad, what?"
Yeah, and then they bash him in the head and interrogate him by tying him up and locking him in the basement. And then, what did he even reveal to them?
I don't fucking remember. I just remember them going to the party.
Yeah, I think they went to a party and they
Wait,
found...
I thought this was before they...
Okay, before. They went to a party and found out that Resident Evil 1 through 5 happened.
Yeah.
Back home.
Then they go home and do the Scooby-Doo
Interrogating.
stuff.
They ask Wesker, did Resident Evil 1 through 5 really happen? And Wesker's like, yeah. So now, you played 5, you're now wondering, how did Wesker survive? Can't tell you that yet.
It's
Okay.
not important yet. We'll find out in a couple episodes.
I've also noticed throughout and then they have to explain the T-virus. It's like, Billy, for some reason, you're just not a zombie yet. It's been like 4 days. You should have been a zombie by now. And like, I swear to God, they mentioned this at some point at anytime someone mentions a disease, whether it's any kind, it's like, the disease is dormant, the disease is infectious, the disease does
like
this.
COVID?
Is that like COVID? And then like
where to date your series, man? Really?
Is it like COVID? It's like, bro, that's like whip it out like in the 90s.
And then the funny thing is like, and it's always followed up like, no, it's not like COVID.
No, it's literally nothing. It's a zombie disease.
It's always, oh, is it like COVID? No, it's not like COVID. They have to mention it twice. They have to.
They have to mention it twice. So after basically beating the crap out of and torturing their dad to get information, I think, what was it? Umbrella shows up.
Yeah.
And they kidnap Wesker. The kids escape, but the kids do something stupid. And then they get kidnapped too?
Gonna be real with you, I don't remember.
Something like that, and it turns out...
I remember they bring Wesker back, and Wesker's like, okay, I'll torture this guy for information, but he actually kills the guy.
Okay.
Who's the guy who told Billy and Jade about Resident Evil 1 through 5.
Yeah.
So he's gone.
Yeah, so he tortures it, and then... And then Evelyn does something and finds out Wesker betrayed her. And then they kidnap Billy and Jade. And then Evelyn tries to manipulate Billy and Jade to be like, in the most generic plots, he doesn't tell you the whole truth, so he must be Satan.
True.
Satan, you know, the guy who took care of you for years. Why don't you tell him, Wesker, that they're clones? Dun, dun, dun. To the future. So Billy...
Where are we? Oh, because Billy's back, and Billy is like, oh, Jade, I'm not a bad guy. I'm a good guy.
That's why I'm the head of Umbrella now.
Yeah, so I'm going to take the Umbrella tracker out your arm and let you go off and do your thing. And Jade's like, all right, cool.
And then Jade goes on a ship, which is a refugee camp of a floating colony.
It's just like in Resident Evil Afterlife.
Yeah, it's a floating colony of people, and they have arts, they have libraries, and most importantly, they have science. Jade is reunited with her husband and her daughter, and Jade becomes...
And her cool scientist friend, and she's like, hey, cool scientist friend, I have this head. Let's experiment on it.
Yeah, so instead of being with her daughter after not being with her for literal months, she decides to investigate this ginormous head that she just has, and they're like, it seems to be activated by spit. Let's make things that are like spit. So they spend, I'm not joking, 55 attempts of making stuff that's kind of like spit.
A whole day.
Literally 24
like they have a time lapse.
hours. And then she goes, what if we just, and then she just spits in the mouth of the thing and it activates.
I hated that.
I was like, what?
I was like, it took you all day to just think, hey,
the thing reacts to saliva.
Why don't we just use saliva?
I could not tell you. I couldn't tell you. That's like, the stone mask seems to be activated by blood. Let's go to the makeup department to get some fake blood to see if they, it's like, I'm like, you guys are scientists?
If you couldn't tell, we kind of like lost brain cells watching this show.
Would it make you all feel better if we're only at like episode 5 or 6?
Honestly, I don't even know. Because the pacing of this show makes no sense. I couldn't tell you where we are on the episodes because there is no rhyme or reason as to where they flash back and forth into the future and the present. It makes no sense. No sense whatsoever. So where are we? Are we on episode 3? Are we on episode 6? I don't fucking know. I have no idea.
So then she's like, now that I got it activated by spit, why don't I use a real zombie? So she endangers the lives of thousands.
She's a scientist, supposed to be real smart. She's like, all right, I'm gonna go get a zombie from the ocean. They just said zombies in the ocean for some reason. Brings it onto the boat, and she's like, yeah, this is a good idea.
I tested it. Look, it works. And then her daughter just kind of shows up. It's like, you missed my piano recital for this, and she's like, dude, look, It works. Then the zombie smells the kid, and the zombie breaks its chain to try to kill the kid.
Yeah.
And then the zombie kills her cool
scientist friend. Her cool pregnant scientist friend. That's right. I forgot she was
thus
pregnant.
ending 2 potential lives.
Yeah.
The ship's like, we're going to throw you off. And then helicopters from Umbrella.
It's just like Resident Evil Afterlife.
Gotta go back to the past.
Yep.
So Evelyn is now convincing the kids and gaslighting them to be like, you're clones. You know what else? Albert's also a clone of Wesker.
They lock Wesker up, and he's like, there's someone in the cell next to him, and he looks through the hole, and it's also Wesker, and he's like, hey man, what's going on?
And then it cuts back to a flashback that happened in 2007, where there's just a facility full of Weskers.
And then Blade comes in.
A literal video game accurate depiction of Wesker.
But the thing is, because Lance Reddick, the actor playing him, is a black man,
we realized that Wesker...
He looks exactly like Blade.
Yes, so literally...
He's got the haircut, he's got the leather coat, he's got the sunglasses, he's just Blade.
Which, listen...
So is Albert Wesker just a white version of Blade?
I was literally about to say, it's Japan's fault, not ours on that one, okay? It's not Netflix's fault. They tried. However,
like just Photoshop a sword on TV series Wesker's back, and you're just looking at Blade.
It's literally Blade. And then he does his cool patented Blade techniques because Umbrella raided the facility full of Weskers, and then they like killed a Wesker. So all that leaves is the Albert Wesker we know, and what I have here as the 4th thing I like,
the best character in the show,
Bert. Bert is basically Wesker if he was just a stoner, chill dude who just wants to experience the joy of life.
Yeah.
And Evelyn comes in and goes, wow, you guys aren't the real Weskers. Want to work for me? And so back forward in time to the past plot line, but not the future plot line, Bert was basically hidden in New Raccoon City this whole time. Albert didn't even know Bert was alive. And Bert's like, how's everything hanging? You in this hotel too? And I was like, I gotta go back and save my kids, damn it.
And Bert's like, excuse me?
Wait, everyone told me you just went on a vacation somewhere. And so as Albert figures out a way to try to save his kids, Bert has the stunning idea. It's like, I'm gonna go save his kids. Because if it's good enough for my brother, he deserves the best in the world. Albert's the best. So he shaves his head, because he's obviously old, and looks exactly like it. Kills a bunch of people.
Yeah, he's like the happy-go-lucky version of Wesker, but he also still has some sociopathic tendencies.
And debatable if he still has some of the superpowers.
Yeah. He doesn't. So the funny thing is, so he goes to pick him up at school. He doesn't know that the girls know anything. So he's like, "Hey kids, wanna go get some lunch at Olive Garden?"
and he's like parked in the middle of the road, and the girls that were let out of the facility, they were like, "Oh," and then they just kind of go. And there's also, I should mention, a plot where Billy's getting jealous that Jade is having interest in the hacker guy.
Which is like not written well at all. Like it doesn't you can obviously tell that is what they were going for, but because they don't really have any romantic chemistry, they don't really write it romantically at all.
Also because Billy and Jade, younger versions of themselves, are completely unlikable in every way. It's in my eyes a waste of time every time they talk about something that is that subplot. So Bert picks him up and takes him to Olive Garden, and he's just fascinated at the idea of an Olive Garden. And then
he goes on this whole tirade about the unlimited breadsticks because he's got the basket in front of him eating them, and he's like, "Can I get some more of these for the 2 girls?" And the waitress is like, "You got to finish that basket." And he's like, "That's a limit. The menu says unlimited." And he gets like legitimately pissed. He like takes the breadsticks out of it, throws the basket at the waitress, like, "There, no more basket. Give me more breadsticks."
And then they're like, they walk back. It's like, "You're not our real dad." And he's like, "What?" Then Umbrella shows up and the girls run away. And then Bert tries to stop them, but Then they capture them both and bring them back to Raccoon City.
And there was a really funny line that me and Brian were enjoying, where like Evelyn's like right-hand man. I don't remember his name. What his name is?
Let's
R.
call
His name, it starts with an R or something.
Let's call him Raphael.
Raphael. Maybe might have been Ross. I don't know. But anyways, like he's like strong-arming Bert, and Bert's like, "You're not nice to me. You're mean."
Yeah. Future time.
Future time.
Okay, so the planes come in and they take Jade and they force the ship to park at the beach, and they take Jade, and then
Why did they take Jade?
because Billy hates Jade, they don't explain why. They just keep
really
saying,
don't.
"You know why I hate you." Spoiler alert: in the past part of the plot never explains that. By the way, we're getting to the point where it was implied that they thought they were getting a season 2, so they saved literal critical plot details for season 2.
It also like goes like you're kind of made to think that, because they do butt heads a lot. Like they're butting heads about the fact that Jade is the one who gets a lot of attention from people while Billy's more of a loner. But they argue, and they solve that.
Yeah.
Within less than 60 seconds. Like we were watching this, me and Brian was like, "How much you want to bet that they're gonna apologize within like 5 minutes?" And then it wasn't even like 2 minutes.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay.
It's like, okay, so why do they hate each other?
They took her back to the evil base they have, and Evelyn's now a demonic puppet that's controlled by nanomachines doing singing Dua Lipa.
Yeah.
And then Billy's like, "Cool, dude. I'm so cool at gadgets and stuff. Give me the research on the weird head thing." And Jay goes, "No, you're smelly." Wacha, back to the past. So now that they captured Bert, they are basically going to force the kids to move into the science department where they're making the drug of the zombie thing, okay? And they have the bright idea to escape the house, and Billy gets captured, but I think Jade gets to go to the hacker kids, and it finds out that Evelyn has been drugging her wife with the joy thing so that she doesn't have to put up with her wife, and the kid's literally in verge of tears that his mom's a psycho happy lady.
Yeah.
And then like calls his mom, it's like, "I hate you, Mom! I hate you! I hate you!"
And that's the end of that plot point.
Yeah, because it starts at the last episode where Evelyn, the main villain, she's going through her Azula-esque breakdown where she's losing control.
Yeah.
She brings them both in. Her gaslighting isn't working on Bert. Her gaslighting isn't working on Billy. Her gaslighting isn't working on Jade. Nothing's working, and she's going nuts. She's going wacky, and future. Okay, so now that
so Jade throws down the pheromone that attracts the zombies instead of the one that like makes them go away.
Yeah, because she had time to make a reverse one of the process.
Yeah.
While endangering the lives of a bunch of them.
But Billy's like, "Haha, I got drones to take care of this." So there's this really weird action set piece where like Billy's having the time of her life. All these drones kill the zombies around her, and so Jade's like, "Fuck, well that didn't work. Let's go back to the boat." And they're like, she goes to the captain like, "We gotta press the button." What's the button, you may ask? Well, when we first get to the boat a couple episodes ago, they showed these chains dragging something in the water, and we don't find out what that thing is until the second to last episode. It's just a big alligator?
If you remember the scene in Resident Evil 2, they have a kaiju version of that's just under the ship. And they just keep it asleep because it's a cold.
Where did they get it? Why do they have it? I don't know.
They literally have to have two keys turned at the same time.
That's literally like a nuke.
Yeah. They have two people push the button at the same time, along with a lever that need to be pushed by a third person. So like the colony on the ship has to consensually agree to essentially unleash, let's be mean here, a literal bioweapon, which is a kaiju crocodile, which the moment it comes out of the water, Billy goes, "Uh-oh," and then she just runs.
And it's in the series finale, they have a short, like 1 minute long scene explaining it, but they explain it so poorly that I still have no idea why they have it, how it works.
They just
It's
have
just
a
there.
crocodile. They just have
So
one.
they send the crocodile after Billy. It provides a distraction, but oh no, Jade's daughter's on the mainland. But somehow the Jade like inject because she's Wesker blood or whatever. Crocodile's like, nah, you're cool, and it like almost like starts to like cuddle up with her
Yeah, it cuddles up with her, then
until Billy launches missiles at it and it blows up and it's dead.
yeah, it dies. Back to the past.
Back to the past.
So it's informed that Wesker needs the blood of his kids to stay alive.
Because if not, he'll like get old.
Yeah, and all of his organs will shut down.
Yeah.
So
Which is disappointing because I was for sure thought he was gonna be like all tentacle and Resident Evil-y.
yeah, but you know,
That's just boring.
It's
He's
boring.
just gonna get old and die.
So,
Who
I guess-
cares?
Billy and Jade, Bert breaks them out
Yeah.
again, and Bert goes, and Billy and Jade's like, "We're not saving our dad. He lied, and he's a big stinky doo-doo head." And Bert goes, "Yeah, but like, he's the only father you had.
Yeah.
At least he made you.
He loves you.
He consensually made you with the hopes of, even though he needs you, he loves you." And then they go, "Fine." And then they
go save.
they go save
Albert.
and then Evelyn's at her Azula moment where all of her hair is not fancy anymore, and she's like, "Argh, I'm gonna kill everyone." And then her son just shows up and is like,
And
"Mom,
he saves Albert.
I'm saving Albert. This isn't cool." And then Billy turns into a zombie for literally a quarter of a second and bites the boy.
Yeah.
So Evelyn
shoots him, and she is like, "How you made me kill my son?" It's like, you're the one who pulled the trigger, man.
You also could have let Albert made a vaccine, and you said
No.
no.
She's like, "No, you made me kill my son. It's your fault. I'm gonna kill you."
And then Albert blows up the whole facility
Yup.
as Bert, Billy, and Jade leave.
To the future.
So literally, if you are all fans of Naruto, you've seen this scene before. Billy and Jade just stand apart of each other to planes. Two dueling fates, two enemies, like we've seen throughout the show, right? Yeah. And Billy's like, "You're always thinking about science and being selfish.
You're such a nerd.
Just like you let all these people die." Wait, sorry. The blow-up facility thing happened a little bit after this scene, like 2 minutes. But she literally says, "This is just like how you let Albert die. This is just like how you let Bert die. This is just like how you let Kyoko die. This is just how you let Jai die." And I'm like,
Yeah, and
did
you
you just spoil
you-
Albert and Bert dying?
You also might be thinking, who are
Half the people.
those people that you just mentioned? We don't know. We don't meet those people. We have not, as far as I know, we have not met those people.
Nope, and we'll explain it in a second why they said those names. So they spoiled Albert dying. And what was even the resolution of the future plot is that they took Jade's kid and then
I
just
don't
left.
know.
I think Billy just
don't-
took Jade's kid and left.
I think so.
Billy's like, "I'll just use her for data." And then Billy just leaves in a
Yeah.
helicopter. And then Jade's like, "Nah, my kid that I've neglected, no!" And that's the end of the future
And then
plot.
back in the past, Jade and Billy, they're like all sad because their dads did, even though they hated him at the end.
Yeah.
And Billy's, but Jade's also mad because like Billy bit her boyfriend that like they didn't have any romantic chemistry with.
Yeah.
And Billy's like, "No, are you mad at me?" And Jade doesn't say anything, and Billy's like, "Are you mad at me?"
And they have this motif where because Billy has anxiety. I mean, I guess it's a cute sentiment, but like they hope because they're sisters. Billy motions to hold Jade's hand, and they make that a reoccurring
Yeah.
motif. And this is the one time where it doesn't happen, and then Jade opens a note left by Albert that says, "Meet Ada Wong in Tokyo."
It was really funny because like when Albert gave him that note and I was watching this Brown, like, I go to Brown, like, it's gonna be Ada Wong. I'm calling it.
Which is really
And then when she unfolds and it says A-Wong, and I was like, yo, I called it!
Which now we have to bring that. That's the end of the show,
That's
by the
the
way.
end of the show.
Now, to go back to the point, when she mentions Albert, Bert, and those two, like, obviously Japanese names,
Yeah.
that's because they spoiled the deaths of the past part for season 2. But the show's canceled. But if it had to go on, they spoiled 3 important character deaths in season 2 before season 2 was made.
So here's our plan. We're gonna get that script.
Yeah,
We're getting the script for season 2.
We're going to produce that script.
We are gonna produce that
I am
script.
going to actually get Billie Eilish to play Billy. We're going to make this happen. Because this is ridiculous. This plot makes no sense. Nothing is consistent. Billy magically turns Asian in the future for no reason.
Yes, she does.
She goes from being, I'm pretty sure she's like Hawaiian, and I looked it up, she is Hawaiian,
Okay.
to just
Asian.
like Asian. Like there's literally a difference in skin tone and like eye shape. Like, I'm not talking like, I'm not being mean here. This is overtly obvious.
No, very much so. Like, yeah.
I'm not being a jerk. I'm not saying like you can't do that, but like they looked nothing
They are
alike.
very clearly two different people, and the only way you can tell it's Billy is because she has the exact same hairstyle.
The Billie Eilish
Yeah.
hair. And I'm like, oh my God. Not the pacing's terrible, the plot's terrible, and you know what's even worse? In the past part, they don't even show how the zombie apocalypse started.
Because that's for season 2.
That's the sequel bait to season 2. They don't even show how somehow Evelyn's body survived long enough for Billy to make an exact replica puppet that's controlled by nanomachines to sing Dua Lipa.
So we're saying F for
F,
this, right?
F. This show's garbage. None of these are good movies.
Here's the thing.
How did we allow this?
I knew that the show was bad. I was not prepared for it to be this
This is like
terrible.
this is like actually bad. I need to see the pitch meeting.
Right?
I
So,
know-
so here's the thing. When I was watching this, I really feel that this was a case of something where they had a script and they had spent so much money on it already, but they realized, this is terrible. How can we possibly save this? And they went, oh, well, we got the Resident Evil license. It's already a zombie show. We want to just make it a Resident Evil show. People will watch it then. And the Netflix execs were like, all right, I like the way you think.
I like the cut of your jib, young man.
Because as bad as the movies are, you can tell at certain points that they feel like a Resident Evil adaptation.
yeah,
This is so far removed from the source material. It really just feels like a CW show.
Yeah, oh
That's
my
like it's
God.
just a CW zombie show that happened to have the Resident Evil name just kind of tacked up on top of it.
I should have made that connect. Yeah. That it's just a CW show, but with Resident Evil.
Yeah, like it doesn't feel like a Resident Evil show. It doesn't feel like Resident Evil at all. The only times when it feels like Resident Evil is when they have like actual
Zombie.
not even zombies, just like specific Resident, like the actual like past stuff with Wesker and Lisa Trevor. She's not that important to the show. She's there for like maybe 30 seconds.
Yeah, in a found footage thing that
Yeah.
Billy and
But like, you change the character names. It's not. It could be anything
be-
else.
yeah.
It's not a Resident Evil show.
And it's actually really funny how like that's the only game, the show that we watched that actually considers the games a thing that happened and is
know.
canon. And like, thank goodness, nobody from the game show up, ever.
Ada was supposed to
Ada was supposed to.
in the next season.
You'd think that which actually now it doesn't make sense canonically, because the Umbrella's controlled by like Chris now,
Oh God.
and they're good guys in 7 and 8. So like
Oh no.
only up
I didn't
to
even
5
consider
is
it.
canon.
Well, hold on. Because the past stuff takes place in 2022.
Yes.
When does Village take place?
Literally, I'm pretty sure it's like 2021.
Okay, so that is a plot hole.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure 100% 7 takes place in 2017, and that takes place the year it was released.
Okay.
They both take place in the year they were released. Yeah.
Good job, Capcom.
Yeah. That's actually, you know what? Thing number 6. That's good. Capcom screwed over it. Yeah, no, F tier. None of these were good. I had the most fun with Apocalypse. I'm pretty sure we can agree on that.
Yeah.
I'm flashing the tier thing on the screen.
I did have fun with the Netflix series, but that is only because I watched it with someone and only because we were laughing at it the whole time. Had I watched it by myself, like I'm sure you did, I would have been miserable.
Yeah, I did watch it by myself. You know, actually, it was really bad because I would sit there and I would go like look at the clock and I'd see it's like 10 o'clock and I'm like, I really, really want to play a video game
all
for,
the time.
For Halloween.
All the time. I'd like, you know, I'd jostle my mouse by accident and be like, oh, we still have 40 minutes left in this episode. We're only 10 minutes in.
Come back from work, I'd eat food, I'd do chores, say hi to the family, I'd lay down, play some video games, look at the clock and go, oh no, I have to watch another episode. I physically dreaded it, which is that this is by far, I'm just going to do the hottest take. Resident Evil, the show, is probably the worst thing we could. It's the tier stinker at the moment.
Yeah, it's probably the worst thing we've covered on this show.
Once we get to Uwe Boll, it'll probably lose the crown.
Yeah.
But for now, the show is the worst.
Yeah.
Welcome to Raccoon City is not far behind.
Yeah.
All right.
But at least that is noticeably Resident Evil. That's recognizably Resident Evil.
All right, and with that out of the way, that's the end. We're done.
Get me the out of here.
I'm gone. Adios.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
So long.
Bye-bye.
Off for you to stand and farewell.